Okay, we are live. Welcome everybody. If you are watching the replay, then I appreciate you being here very much. I just want to share my gratitude for you choosing to come and watch this global live peace meditation and to come together. So, hello everyone. My name is James Malins, and in today's video we're going to be doing 7 live global peace meditations. We've been doing this ever since the very unfortunate news of David Wilcock, and he had asked people if they help him do that. So that's exactly what we've done, and we've brought together a really beautiful community. So just for this first little period, whilst everyone's joining, and welcome Philip, Deborah, Lana, Yelena, Bradine, thank you so much for already being here. Appreciate you guys very much. So whilst we're getting set up, I'm just going to share it out so that people know that we are live. And so grab yourself a drink or get yourself comfortable and we'll get started very soon. So very excited to be with you all. Yelena, welcome everybody. So I'm just going to come over here and share this to the right places. Shouldn't take long, I've already prepared everything. So like I say guys, this will be our third live stream doing global live peace meditations in honour of David Wilcock. It was of course very unfortunate news to hear what had happened, but from that we've been able to keep his legacy alive, because he did a lot of very beautiful work. He impacted my life, and I know he impacted a lot of your guys' lives as well, and so this has been a really lovely way for us to tune in. So if you guys let me know, can you hear me okay? Say hello over in the comments, let me know that you're here. Mother, welcome. Linda, thank you so much for tuning in. Linda, it must be very early for you, is it not? I'm sure it's very, very early where you are. Nicole, Kathy, Deborah, Susie, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys very much. Let me know, can you hear the audio okay? Are you hearing me in 2 or 3 different versions, or have you got me... have I finally cracked it? So... welcome everybody. Now I have something very exciting to show you. Carolina, welcome, happy Mother's Day. So we're going to do a little introduction so that you guys know and everything that we're going to get up to today. So I'll be showing you that. So we do have a happy Mother's Day for everybody in the States and wherever else you're celebrating it right now. We've already celebrated it with my lovely mother, so but why shouldn't she have 2 days? The audio is great, the audio is okay, receiving in perfect condition. Thank you so much, Annie. Anita, welcome everybody. Philip, absolutely happy Mother's Day to all. Karina, thank you. Karina, lovely, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm very grateful you've come here. Thank you so much. Blah, welcome. Hello everyone from Better Sienna. Did I get that right? New York City, beautiful. Welcome everybody. So guys, I do have one more little audio test for you. So I have a very lovely singing bowl, which is actually courtesy of my mother as well. So there's a little ode to that there. So I'm going to, what I thought is, as we're doing our global live peace meditations, we can sort of maybe start and finish with a little bit of a sound from the singing bowl. So if you guys think that that's a good idea, I just want to test this now. So I'm going to do it very gently. Hopefully it won't be too loud. So if you guys can hear that, how does that sound? Does that sound good? Is that hopefully it's not too extremely loud. Let me know. So, great popcorn. Hello from Arkansas. Welcome, my friend. Thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate you very much. Alright guys, well I'll tell you what we'll do. We will go over to our slides. I think I may have also, now I know you guys said that you enjoyed the sun transition and I do appreciate that, but I did think to myself it was quite it was quite a strong sound. So I have attempted to remove the audio, so we'll see if that worked or not. Yelena says gorgeous. Great popcorn says it's good, beautiful, lovely. My mother says it's lovely, sounds nice and crisp, perfect. Tree Dog, welcome my friend. Sounds nice, beautiful guys. I appreciate that very much. Right, so we're going to come over and get started with today. So in this live stream, we're going to be covering, let me just check here, yep, microphone's still working. We're going to be covering the path of the whirling rainbow for a second time, but this time we're diving into humanity's journey back to paradise. So this is our part 2 for this week, because we didn't quite get through everything. Lost in Space, welcome. Susan, thank you so much for tuning in. Free Queen, welcome back from the Netherlands community. Welcome, and yep, thank you to all the moderators for being here as well. Alexander, great to see you live. Love the bowls. The sound is perfect frequency. Lovely. I appreciate that very much, guys. So today, let me just come over here. So first of all, Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, as we've said to everybody. I know that it's different here in the United Kingdom, but Happy Mother's Day over in the States. And I don't know whether it's the same in Australia. You guys will have to let me know. And as always, David, wherever you are, thank you so much for all that you have given to us, all you continue to give to us, and hopefully there is a path on this. Perhaps, you know, the story is a little bit different. Maybe David's still around. If not, then we send him our deepest love. And of course, there will be a couple of lives today where we're going to hear from a little bit from David. In this third live stream, I don't know if there actually was a meditation at the end. If not, we'll still finish with some of David's words. I think that's nice to do so, just to keep that energy and that spirit going. So, Little Red, welcome. Kimmy, from Staffordshire in the UK, welcome, thank you for being here. And Gail says, hey James, Happy Mother's Day to your mother and to all the loving mums out there. There you go, Mum. How we don't celebrate in the UK, but we're still celebrating you. Love you very much. So okay, I wanted to also add into our streams that our most recent stream. So next week we'll add in this one, just so that people are aware of where we're up to, you know, just to keep people on track of what we've been discussing and talking about. So the very first live stream we did was, of course, just purely honouring David. We were having that conversation. People came to share how they met David, how they came across him. And so that was a really beautiful live. And again, I'm very grateful to all of you who tuned in. And then last week's stream was where we went and dived into the Whirling Rainbow Prophecy. And again, really amazing live stream. I appreciate you all coming so much. Brizzy Con, my husband Tree Dog, and I have wanted a singing bowl, but aren't sure where to get an authentic one. Yours sounds lovely. Well, I looked for ages to find the singing bowl that I felt was right. Oh, actually, I also made a little addition here, so you guys can see me. There you go. So I actually spent a really long time getting this, and it was a really reasonable price actually, but it was perfect because I knew that it would be brilliant for things like this. So yeah, I can maybe try to share. I must have it somewhere, so I might be able to share with you which singing bowl it is. Thank you, Free Queen. I appreciate that very much. Okay, so oops, let's just go across. So in last week's live stream, of course, we went through a lot of those really incredible 333 synchronicities. So there were a few that had come up from our stream, from the impressions to the shares to the book that I was reading, to the likes when I woke up, the comments from the video, my hard drive. It was just truly phenomenal, the amount of synchronicities that had presented themselves. You know, it really told me that we were on to something. Wade, welcome. Just another reminder, hit that like button. I appreciate that very much. Wade's absolutely right. If you guys are willing to do that, it might help to bring a few more people who might not have seen. You know, I know there are actually a lot of people who had mentioned about doing global live peace meditations because David had mentioned it. So perhaps there are a few other people who'd be willing to come and join us all. You know, and the more people we have, the more that energy radiates throughout the world. So Licit, thank you so much. It is my absolute pleasure. Thank you for being here. And so we went into the Whirling Rainbow Prophecy, and obviously a really my poncho over there, which I only just realised with the symbol on it that it's very similar to the cards that I have. The Light of Albion, 10 to the Earth, and the similarities between the Arthurian traditions and the Native American traditions. So that was also what we covered. Soul Coach Suzanne, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for being here. And then, so Also, the schedule for today's live stream. So in this live stream, it's going to be our third one. Of course, we're going to be doing our global peace meditations. So thank you to all of you for keeping this community going. Now, of course, we're going to be doing 7 peace meditations every 33 minutes for the entire duration, the 3 hours and 33 minutes that will be live. So we will I've popped in a slide. I'm very organized of things, so you guys will notice that I'm very renowned for having everything as clear as humanly possible. So there is another one that just explains about the format that I think would be very good for the meditations today. And so, of course, as we've just said, 7 3-minute meditations. We're going to go over a quick recap. So we'll do the new 333 synchronicities that I've had that I thought you guys would find really interesting. And then I'd like to do a little recap of last week's stream just before we move into the new content, which is going to be around humanity's journey back to paradise. Okay, so the Garden of Eden origin story and its application in our lives today. So I did want to get a few more of the ancient references, things like Dilmun with the Sumerian references and the Arcadia, but I didn't quite manage to get that information forward today. So we have gone through a bit more of some other content which I'd love to share with you guys. So we're also going to go into how this paradise garden can, or could be, I've said is there, but is directly correlated to humanity's journey back home or the reclamation of the Mantle of Responsibility, which is something that I've talked about for many years that I feel is very appropriate now. Enlightenment 101, thank you for tuning in, and Laura Sidhu, thank you for being here. Appreciate you guys very much. Bradeen says amazing synchronicities. It was remarkable. You know, I know that Lucas was laughing because quite a few times he heard me shout from this room because there's another one that had happened. So it was very, very interesting. And of course, we will go into a few other mentions of the garden or paradise in other ancient cultures, but actually we're going to shift that and talk a little bit about the Anastasia philosophy about Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. So I don't know how many of you have come across the Anastasia books, but that's something that I would like to go in with you guys today. So okay, and now last part of this little introduction. So we're going to do our 7 meditations. The first one, which you'll forgive me guys. So one thing I do want to share with you is it is extremely impressive that David used to be able to get his slides ready every single week. Now I am doing some other bits and pieces with sort of content and things like that, but it is, it's a challenge, can I say? So right up there, where those speech marks are supposed to be, well, you can't see it at the minute, but where those speech marks are supposed to be, I was going to put the 3rd live stream title. So I'll have to do that perhaps in a moment or so, but it will be going backwards. So not the last live, not the live before, but the live before that, where we're going to do a little bit with David's videos. So Lily says, thank you, James. My heart still hurts for David. I agree with you. You know, it's. I know a few more people have commented on my videos, and it's really been, it's been prevalent in people's hearts. You know, like I say, David was the work that he did over the years, and I myself, I've gone back through a lot of the old stuff. I've gone and I found the course that I used to do with David, which was all to do with dreams. It was all to do with being able to tap into those lucid states. It was the Ascension course that he did. It wasn't the 3.0, although for some reason I seem to have access to that. I can't remember paying for it, but I do. And so, yeah, it's been nice to go back to through a few of them. Now, I know for a fact that Yelena and Suzanne in the comments, they mentioned that a few people have started posting some of David's old wisdom teachings. I have tried finding the original seasons. A guy said he'd shared them, but it was through a torrent and I didn't feel comfortable doing it. But it does look like there might the wisdom teachings might be available. And it was interesting listening to the intro because the sound took me all the way back to when I used to listen to it years ago. So Free Queen says here, I paid my tax in tears today again. When I allowed David to enter my train of thought, it's all good, got to feel it to heal it, of course, you know. And look, it's interesting because when we think about the nature of reality, you know, this is something that David was sharing a lot. When we think about the nature of reality, when we seek to observe the truth of our reality, we start to look at who we are, what we are, and what happens when we pass on. You know, and again, look, I know how people feel. I mean, I still, in my heart, don't know. I don't know what this situation has been, you know, whether it's completely, if it is completely authentic, fair enough, but like I've said in the previous videos, we all are well within our right at this point to question what we hear and what we see. You know, it's just, it's how things are at the, in society as a whole at the minute, you know. So maybe there is a different story that's going on here, and perhaps there'll be a, you know, some kind of revealing, because I noticed that the Trump or the UFO files were released, and there's nothing to see, I don't think. You know, I don't know what your guys' opinion are, let me know in the comments, but when I've gone through the images, there's barely anything to see. Now, I know for a fact that a lot of people will feel that that's very much a distraction from other stuff that's been going on in the world, you know. So there are hundreds of thousands of people, maybe millions, you know, definitely I think millions of people who are starting to wake up to the things that have been happening in our world, you know. And that's exactly why we're talking about what we're talking about here, why we're going into these origin stories that are connected to a garden, you know, and what it looks like for humanity's journey, the future of humanity, you know, returning to that garden, you know, because I really do in my bones. I don't like always saying things as absolute truths, but I'll say this: I know in my heart and I know in my bones that we are returning to that garden, because it's right there at the minute. So Blah says, question everything from this administration, believe nothing. Of course, you know, and I think that goes for anything and everything with a lot of things, you know. There are a lot of things that are happening in our world at the minute that just make no sense, you know. And of course, you know, I like to keep things more on the positive side of where we're going, but we do have to talk about it, you know. No worries. Welcome, Lucas. Thanks for tuning in, buddy. Appreciate it, man. My mother says, the memories, James. I used to come into your office at home and listening to David. He was such a wonderful man, bringing knowledge and wisdom. Yeah, you know, and you always used to bring me my lovely dinner. And David would be on one screen, and I'm sure a video game would be on the other one. Deborah says, metaphysical shops and psychic fairs will carry singing bowls for sale. Yeah, no doubt. That's a good one too. So I know you're probably replying to what was before. It's always good to support people who are doing it on a smaller business, so I totally agree with you. As Deborah says, smash that like button. Yeah, like I say, guys, you know, if you're willing to like the stream, it's a huge help. It definitely helps for sure. Soul Coach Suzanne says, yes, wisdom teachings are up on 2 YouTube channels. I shared both of those with you privately, but that's not what we need now. It's best we move forward together here. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, you know, so because I don't know if I've seen the second one. I'll certainly have a look again. But yeah, no, so if you guys Google it, you might be able to find the wisdom teachings episode, which would be perfect. Free Queen says, exactly. We don't know anything. The other day, as I was writing about cognitive dissonance, I realised that as not knowing and truth-seeking, thus carrying all probabilities, giving us a place to hide. Yeah, and look, like this, the nature of our reality, to me, is a journey of exploration and discovery. You know, and this is kind of so, as we go into the origin story of, you know, this Garden of Eden, this story, this parable, this mythological or perhaps even metaphorical story, there is a lot in it, you know, and so I'm excited to go into that with you guys, because what I do feel, and Lucas and I have discussed this, especially with the Arthurian tradition and many traditions throughout the world, is there have been breadcrumbs that have been left. Now, I know that for me, in this body as James, or in this incarnation, I can only know what I know from the past 31 years, you know, and so I, like with you guys, I'm sure that for our lifetime, we can only really fully know what we know for the period of time we've been alive. So I just find it interesting that as we go over these ancient references and these cultural references, the Native Americans, I did a lot of exploring of the Sumerian histories and texts, and it's interesting because again there's very curious information about that downfall, the downfall of the Sumerian or the Akkadian civilizations. I haven't had a chance to do slides on that, but it's very interesting when you start to move into it. Kiki says, never knew he had so much material on television. Yeah, he did. There was tremendous amount. I know that if I'm not mistaken, it started with a radio show in the very beginning, and it progressed obviously to Gaia, which I know a lot of people have a lot of thoughts on Gaia, and so do I. I think anyway. That we'll keep for another time. So let's just go back over the meditations. You'll have to pretend that I put the the meditation in there. So the first meditation we will do will connect with David's life, listen to the things that he wanted to share. The second one we'll go for a personal meditation for health and healing. A third one we'll do is a global meditation for peace and unity. From there, I'd like to share my I am with you prayer again, if you guys are willing to do that for the fourth one. For the fifth one, again, we'll go back to a global peace meditation for love, goodness and community. Number 6, another personal meditation for abundance, purpose and insert what should be in there that wasn't. Again, I tell you, I certainly will need an assistant at some point, because it's really phenomenal to get all of the slides ready, do the posts, and because I also want to get back to you guys. You guys are all really lovely. There's a lot of messages from you guys that I might not have fully responded to yet, because I just haven't had a chance to. But again, I appreciate your patience. And then I'd like to, of course, do a closing meditation with David's as well. So, and one more thing is, after each meditation, I felt that it would be lovely just in the comments to put sort of one thing we're grateful for and one thing that might have come to us during the meditation, because I'd like to keep a bit of time afterwards just for you to say or think or feel whatever it is that you'd like to. So that's going to be our schedule for the global meditations. So you'll have to let me know in the comments if that sounds good to you, if you have any suggestions as well. Asana Hunter says, we'll come over to the comments again. Excuse me. Happy Mother's Day out there to all mothers, of whom are mums to any living being, aunties and adopted chosen mums included. Beautiful. I agree with you completely. Alexander says, I am with you. Prayer was great last week. Really enjoyed that. Thank you, my friend. Appreciate that very much. Free Queen says, parentified adult children of narcissistic parents included. You raised yourself. Props to you too. Yeah, of course. Look, I that's very true. It is important to acknowledge that each of our journeys have been different. We've all got a different shade, a different hue in our experience, and this is because I really do love that analogy of the whirling rainbow. We all have a different shade to our experience, and that contributes to the whole. Okay, there is an infinite set of nuances between each colours, and so each of us being those songs, those songs of life, we all have a different hue to play in that melody. The universe, we all have a different hue, a different story to tell. And just like, and I won't mention it just out of respect, but I was chatting with one lady in here who will probably know who I'm talking about, and we were saying as well, to share that story, it doesn't matter what the story looks like, it can really it can be something that people think about in years to come. I've had experiences with people who've shared certain things with me, and I often think about it at certain points in life. So we never know the power of our stories, so that's always something that I like to stick with. Kiki says, thank you for the schedule. You're absolutely welcome. Tree Dog says, sounds like a great layout for meditations. Perfect. Love it, guys. And then Soul Coach Suzanne says, yes, we better not discuss the Gaia TV people, but if he hadn't left that, we wouldn't have had him so intimately on YouTube for all those years. That's what brought us. Absolutely. Again, totally agree with you. That's it's important to acknowledge that is an event. Again, like doing these lives. It's not, we're not listening to David right now, which is a massive shame. But at the same time, we're also able to come together in a different way. And like I say, from the last week's live stream, exploring that whirling rainbow prophecy, looking at what is happening on Earth. Because I know that a lot of people are passionate about the stars. I know that a lot of people are passionate about our brothers and sisters in the stars, and disclosure, and finding out what's going on in our solar system and in our universe. And I agree with you. Because I haven't had any of those experiences personally, I like to sit with Mother Earth. I like to sit with Earth. I like to sit with what is happening here, and what can we do about it. Because I do believe that this story that we're experiencing, as wacky and as crazy and perhaps sometimes as hopeless as it might feel, I have all the hope in the world as to this story leading back to paradise, this story leading back to oneness, leading back to unity, leading back to abundance and goodness and joy. Because I don't have children yet, but I know for a fact that I won't even remotely consider bringing children into this world until we have the space to honour and love and nurture that child. Rainer says, thank you for doing this. Who is Lucas? Lucas is the chap who is in the comments. He's a good friend of mine who I live with. And so whenever I'm talking about Lucas, a lot of what I've done, in last week's live, we talked about the light of Albion and tend to the earth. We've done that together. So we set up Gaia and Earth originally, which was all to do with forest gardening and acquiring land so that we could start to demonstrate what it's like for people to start to live in forest gardens. Okay, because there are a lot of homestead and intentional communities, but we feel that there's a way to do it that allows a person to have their sovereign space, which can ease a lot of the challenges that humans have. A lot of people struggle to relate to one another. They struggle to, one person likes to do things one way, one person likes to do things another way, one person's got one belief, another person's got another belief, etc., etc., and so it can be a challenge to integrate all of those beliefs and ideas into a community setting from experience. So obviously, when we discussed the Whirling Rainbow, which we'll go into just in a second, we were exploring that prophecy which talks about the reunification of all people, which means seeking to acknowledge all creeds and all ways of life. And wow, that's a conversation in itself. So, whoopsie, let's have a look here. Enlightenment 101 says, I've been learning about our meditating on the Edgar Cayce connection in Honour of David. Beautiful. I'd love to know what you've been studying. You feel free to pop it down in the comments. I'd love to know what it is that you may have read. Susan O'Shaughnessy says, hi from Australia. Hi, Susan. What time is it for you? Because I'm pretty sure it's pretty early, and so if it is, I really appreciate you coming to join with us. We're 28 minutes into the live at the minute, so in about 5 minutes or so, we'll do our first meditation, and we'll hear from our brother David on his third live stream. So, right. I'm just going to come back to our monitor here, just to go through... Okay. So one thing I wanted to share with you, I haven't had as many insane synchronicities as I did last week, but there still were a few. And one of the most important ones, and this is really powerful, so I'm very excited to share this with you. I wanted to show you later on in the live, hopefully we get time, is on Monday the 4th of May, I was having a look at the images between myself and Lucas, and this image in particular is really important, because it is something, it's a bit blurry because I was taking it from the we're going to see a clearer picture later on, but I realized that it was 333 kilobytes which is just hilarious. And ironically, if you look over here on the left hand side, 11.7, I know it's 11.57, but 11.7 is actually a very sacred number to me, so I also Lucas had sent it to me at 11.57, so that was a really interesting synchronicity. Leilu says, all are parts of the same puzzle. Absolutely, I totally agree with you. Susan says, it's 4:30 a.m. in Australia. Well, Susan, I appreciate your dedication very much. I can tell you're a night owl for sure. I certainly am myself as well. Andromeda says, hello from Canada, Edmonton, Alberta. Beautiful. Happy to see you live, James. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining us. I appreciate that so much. Just a Setting Sun says, I miss David Wilcock so much, and we agree with you completely. And again, we are so grateful that you're able to join us, keep that spirit of David's work, the Global Life Peace Meditations alive. It's really, really appreciative. Alexander says, home is where the heart is. Absolutely. And ironically, we're going to go into... in this live stream, we're going to go into a little bit about the messages that nature sends to us. So we've gone through the Whirling Rainbow Prophecy, and we're going to dive in deeper into what it looks like when we start to really connect with nature. So this was one of them. The second one, again on the same day, this one was a little bit, okay, it's only 33, it's only 3 comments. This one wasn't super amazing. It really made me smile, because I thought to myself, there's another one. I just happened to go on, and it was 33 likes and 3 comments, so it was just there. And this was obviously also when we were foraging the cleavers and the wild garlic and the elm samaras, which were just beautiful. I don't know if you guys have ever foraged at all or in general, but if you've ever foraged elm leaves, young elm leaves and young elm samaras, they are just beautiful. Next was actually from my mother, so I wanted to give my mother a little shout out here. She was telling me that she googled the temperature, so it was 8 degrees Fahrenheit, and she wanted to know what that is, or roughly along those lines. You'll have to actually let me know in the comments, Mum. I can't remember exactly what you said, but you were googling the temperature that it was and the conversion, and then it was 13.33 degrees Celsius, which is just really, again, very funny. So there you can see it, 13.33 degrees. And then finally, my brother Lucas and my partner Annie, we were going to the gym, and when I got to the car, I just filled it up, and right as we pulled up to the gym, I don't know if you can see it, it's a little bit blurry there, but I had 333 miles in the tank. So it was just, again, these little funny nods to what we're doing. You could call it all coincidence. I know we all don't believe in that. But it was just really powerful, really powerful to have these beautiful synchronicities. Oh, and then again, after the gym, we were sat outside. My lovely family here went in to do the shopping whilst I was replying to comments, and I looked to the left of me, and woe and behold, if I bother to call the security at Mazda, I have to put in 111 and 333. So I just found that really funny. Again, some beautiful little nods to what we're doing. And it's 3:23 on the live stream. So I tell you what, guys, as we're now 33 minutes in, I will get to a lot of your comments in just a moment. So I'll have a look at your comments shortly. But before we do that, I'm going to get the video of David up so that we can do our meditation. So after that, I know a few of you have mentioned about the synchronicities, so we'll go through that in just a moment. So let me just come out of here. I'm going to come into here. We will go full screen. Now I need to make sure that everything is good here. We'll go full monitor. And before I do this, now this might take me a second, but I figured out, guys, so I spent a little time trying to figure out OBS, and I'm pretty sure that if I now mute myself, you won't be able to hear me. So I'm just going to click this and wait a few seconds, because there's a bit of a delay on the chat. But if I mute now, so I'm going to come back now just because I don't want to wait too long. I know there's quite a delay. So I'll just wait for the comments. Just let me know if you could hear me or not. But I'm going to press play now. So we're going to spend a little bit of time listening to David. So this is going to be our first meditation of today. So I'll give you guys just a moment to enjoy this.
Allow yourself to be open to miracles and to the possibility that even in your darkest and most fearful moments, something can and will happen to elevate you out of the pit of despair. Realize and redefine your divine connection and allow yourself to gain confidence in the infinite workings of the universe. I admire your dedication and resolve to redefine yourself in the eyes of the One. It is not for anyone else to decide how you will navigate this course, only you. And you have everything you need within you to derive the answers you seek. Veritably, love and light rise above all perceived obstacles, now and forever.
I'm listening to David, so this is going to be our first meditation of today. So
now and again, you may find yourself slipping and sliding, falling away from the truth of what is. Allow yourself to know that in these very moments, your beingness is redefined through the struggle and the understanding that comes to you as you walk your path. Your inner calling propels you forward through the darkness, and you find the love and the truth that you seek. This is a time for celebration in the grandest sense. Never before has it been so easy to make exponential leaps in spiritual growth. In those times of great misery and despair, you redefine yourself in the amalgam of your own alchemical transfiguration. Rise like the phoenix and claim your birthright, for all roads are open to the infinite mind. Isn't that nice? I liken it to a clock whose ticking noise reminds you that life must move forward and that the path must inevitably subside into the remembrance of the new and into that which is. Veritably, life is a constantly redefining pinpoint of infinity whose aperture is forever widening. Embrace the big picture that infinite love provides. Isn't that beautiful? This is how you were born, where you came from, and who you are now. You are a perfect hologram of the infinite. Your life is a glorification of everlasting truth, and your wisdom is informed by those who you hold closest to you. Never again do you need to doubt these facts. Someone says, thanks for your time and knowledge. Universal blessings always. We love you. Thank you very much. Thank you, David. You are kind, helpful, love, and light. I care about you. It's really nice. Yes, keep your heart open. Keep your mind centered. Now is the time to open your mind and to accept that everything you thought you knew could change in the blink of an eye. It is not a time to feel badly or to question the fundamentals of your existence. It is a time to heal, to prepare, to understand, to accept, and to move forward with loving grace. Isn't that nice? Yes, I say again that the Christ is within you, and this force goes beyond all senses of limitation that may have defined you in the past. The man Jesus embodied this logoic truth and is there for you as a guide, a friend, a confidant, and a great master. You are a being of infinite worth. Never let that truth be threatened.
Okay, guys. Now, I wanted to stop it there. We could have kept going. I think we will finish with those words from David, and I hope you guys would be okay with that. So that was our first meditation, and I don't want to go too quickly into talking right now. I wanted to give you a moment to sort of perhaps reflect upon what David said. There's a lot that I haven't actually seen this live, so this is one of the lives that I didn't end up seeing, but it's very curious. If you notice after each slide, Each page, David sort of coming out to smile in the camera. I just, as a way of sort of perhaps bringing a deeper level of healing for those of you who are watching, a deeper level of healing of, going through what people have been going through with the news of David passing. I just find it interesting. You can see his energy there. I mean, this was the third live, so there was 2 more after this. The energy was much softer, much more in a place of love, and this is something that I really resonate with, and something that my mother certainly, and my father would agree, that my mother and my auntie and my nan certainly showed me over the years. This very heartfelt, fond, gentle, kind love. And I actually have a Jamaican friend called Christine, and she is a truly beautiful soul. I wish that she'd watch YouTube. I don't know if she does or not, because I'd love her to hear that. She is a really beautiful soul. Again, just there's something profound when, as people, we embody this soft and loving and kind and compassionate energy. Like watching David there, and it's so interesting because there was a few things that he'd mentioned in those slides, which are slipping my mind now. But he was saying about the logoic, so Yeshua, embodying that logoic presence, and again, I want to respect all elements. I don't have a religion. You could say my religion is the trees. My religion is nature. My religion is the trees. I don't have a religion, but I study religions. Lucas, Annie, and I were certainly very interested in that. My mother as well. We've read a few books on the topic, which are really, truly fascinating. And so, I just wanted to share that there is something to be said about embodying that love, and I just keep looking at the Whirling Rainbow, and I keep looking at this book. So I don't know if you guys have ever read this book. This is my opportunity to do what David did for me and share some books with you that are really powerful books. So this book here, The Mystery of the White Lions, is by a lady called Linda Tucker. And this book, and I will get back to the synchronistic comments, by the way, guys. I just, after watching that little bit there, it really put me into sort of an introspective feeling. But this book is really powerful because it talks about the mystery of the white lions. Now, if you notice that Yeshua, Jesus, was known as the Lion of Judah, the King of Kings. Now, there is a lot of symbolism. So just to show you that again, the children of the sun god, okay? Ra, the sun. I'm just going back here, and again, the secret places of the lion. Okay, so there are a lot of incredible ancient symbolisms to connecting with the lion, and so there's a lot of information that David just shared that was connected. So anyway, before I get too lost, I'm going to go back through these comments, and I'd like to go back over that with you guys. So let's have a look here. Andromeda says, I always, every day, see 1111, sometimes twice a day on the clock. I also see 111, 444, and 333. And it's been happening for years now. I'm not sure what to do with it. And that's interesting, Andromeda, And I think that in a lot of cases it can just be a little nod. I often find that if I'm in a place of thinking, or I'm indecisive, or I'm not quite sure what to do, or I'm in a 2.5 year quiet period of my life, I'll often get just crazy amounts of synchronicities just to sort of encourage me to keep going, and I think that that's what a lot of numerical synchronicity is. It is nudges from the other world. If you believe in angels, if you believe in guides, whatever it is you believe, they're those little nudges from the other world to let us know that we're on the right path. Okay? And if you're finding this completely nonsense, then even down to a quantum level, and that entanglement with understanding that we are connected to all things, they could again be little nods. So Free Queen says, was replying to Leilu and says, it's said that he called in at 10:44 and they arrived. Yeah, I saw that. I did notice that, with those numbers. Elena says, Synchronicity Key with David Wilcock. Yep, that's one of the books. In fact, I'm pretty sure... No, I have the other book, which is at my mother's, I do believe. My mother says, for years I've always seen 1111. You have indeed. I know that personally. And thank you guys for letting me know that the mute works. I finally figured it out. So I don't actually think we've had any technical difficulties today, which is out of order. We need at least one technical difficulty. Maybe I shouldn't say that. Enlightenment 101. Whoopsie. Hold on. Enlightenment 101 says, I shared a link, but it was taken down. Was that through this live? It might be that I don't know if I ever actually see links on YouTube lives. So if you are wondering why it was taken down, it might not have been a moderator. It might just happen automatically. I don't know. Soul Coach Suzanne says, and Holly Burns has the timing as 11:06 and the significance of it in her last video on David. Okay, I hear what you're saying. Sorry guys, I realise you're responding. Marie, thank you so much for tuning in. Greetings, James. Marie here from across the pond in America. This is my first live with you. Thank you for all you're doing in honour of David. It is my absolute honour myself. And thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate you spending the time with us. Thanks, Marie. Karina says that yes, definitely did not hear you. Thank you, Karina. I appreciate that. Bevy, welcome. Philip, thank you for tuning in. The audio doubled for just a few seconds, but you fixed it. Great. It might have been the transition. I don't know if it was that. Gail says, it is so good to hear David's sweet voice. It tugs at my heartstrings. Glad there are many videos available. So am I. And I know that it's interesting because David's friend Jude, I think I noticed somehow he subscribed to me on YouTube. He had mentioned that apparently the websites were supposed to be back up, which, look, I know he was on about not talking about the conspiracy side of things, but it's come on, it's weird that the website went down at the timing that it has, so anyway. So Alexander says, thank you, David. Wow, that's amazing. I agree with you completely. Free Queen says, I feel like I'm re-traumatizing myself all over again. Well, I hope not. I hope that this can be an because that was one thing that was also mentioned in what David said, is about that alchemical transmutation. That being able to take things that are of pain, of suffering, and transmute them into empowerment and light and goodness. Because this is a big part of our world. This whirling rainbow. Keep coming back here. This whirling rainbow is very much about being able to transform the pains of our world into good and love. Because for a lot of people, they'd have done videos about what happened to David, and I'm not going to criticize anything here, but a lot of those videos might have focused predominantly on the negative, whereas I like to think that what we're doing here is we're focusing quite a lot on the positive, on the loving side, on the compassionate side. We're coming together, we're spending this Sunday together that David used to. We would sit watching David, but now, since what's happened, we're still able to do that, and I really think that's a beautiful thing. I really do. My mother says, I thought that too. His smile says it all. It does, and it's interesting coming back to watching that. I just recognised that after every slide he came out to show his face and then went back in again, and it was very much radiating that pure love. And again, this is what we have to understand, that there is a greater story that is happening on earth, and it is a story that leads back to paradise. And not in any insane way. This is what I want to go through in today's live. The return back to paradise is obvious. It's not mystical, it's not mythological, it's not blind. It's right in our faces. There are people who have been able to grow food forests, edible forest gardens, and they're able to demonstrate the abundance and the space that it creates, and it's wonderful, and that is our birthright, which again was in what David just shared in that meditation. Our birthright, the reason why we are here and what is destined for us is that place of Eden, that paradise, so that's exactly what we're going to get into in today's live. Sue, welcome Sue, if I haven't said that already. Beautiful, the Alliance posted David was extracted. David did not commit suicide. Again, I think we all agree that, I think personally there's a very solid chance that that's the truth. Especially as you notice that with David's energy, there was a very angelic sort of loving energy coming through, is what I felt. Just trying to get D Fristo, thank you for tuning in, my friend. I actually I saw your comment on one of David's lives, and I haven't had a chance to share with you, but I did see it when I was watching. So I thought it's lovely that you're able to join us here. Karina says, James, I had a technical difficulty. I hoped that what counts. I lost sound, needed to change my headphones. Oh, bless you, Karina. Well, hopefully it's okay now. I hope that it's fixed itself. Sue says 111 and 444 common for me. I agree. Reminds us of our journey. Absolutely. Arsney says you looked at the newly appeared crop circle in England, Somerset, just 2 days ago. I actually have, and I watched a video. I was considering putting it in, but I haven't. I watched a video of somebody who took the crop circles that we see and they expanded them into a third dimensional model, and I thought that was amazing because a lot of them, they start to demonstrate some really incredible truths that we're starting to find out in a lot of our scientific explorations. So yeah, that was really interesting. I appreciate you sharing that. Alexander says, Lion, Aslan, Narnia, amazing. I always seem to connect that to the world. And absolutely, see, that's another good example that you have that sort of, even in Narnia, you have that resurrection story going on within there, which is very interesting. Let's just open up here. So I hope I'm not missing any comments. Karina says, additionally, I get a lot of feathers in random places, including falling right down in front of me. Karina, when my mother reads that comment, she will, I'm sure she'll comment herself, because my mother gets a lot of feathers, and so do I, actually. Not so much where I am at the minute, but before, I've got feathers everywhere. They're over on our little shrine, should we say. It's not a shrine, but it's a little shrine to our Light of Albion here in Wales. So, okay. Free Queen says, this is very healing, James. What you're providing here for me personally, it is a new experience to be able to grieve together. It is just hard to hear his voice, that's all. No, and I understand, and I hope that what I said was sensitive. I didn't want to be insensitive. Like, it's okay to be upset, and to just purely be upset. I always like to, it's in my nature to start to explore the transmutation of that pain into light and goodness, and something that we can work with it. And look, if anything was to ever happen to me, I would want you guys to do the same thing. That's the only thing I can say. The only thing that I can say, just realised I've still got my headphones on. The only thing I can do in my life is operate in a way that I find acceptable. So, Karina says, good now, beautiful, I'm pleased to hear that. Susanna Shaughnessy says, yes, I agree. Yelena says, David Wilcock's webpage is back. Well, I apologise dearly, Jude. If it's back, then perfect, because that was upsetting when I saw it was gone. I agree, James. What he wants is for us to do what he was doing, back and forth between the slides and discussing what is most important. Keep going as you are, regardless of what others are focused on. Beautiful. I appreciate that, Suzanne, and I agree with you totally. And again, 90 people here at the minute. It's really lovely to have you guys with us. Really is. Gail says, I heard that if we trace the crop circles on paper, we will receive some kind of knowledge. Is that true? I don't know. Again, it's ironic because those are two topics that I know that David was very passionate about. But myself, personally, I have been to 3. So I might share some pictures. I've been to 3 crop circles, and they are fascinating places. One of them had a very interesting experience, but that's quite a story, and I don't know whether we quite have time today. I'll try and get round to that a bit later. Annie says the best feather was on Flex's nose. It was indeed. Flex is my little pooch that my mother and father have been looking after for far too long. Paulian, thank you so much for tuning in. Feathers, absolutely. I've got some really amazing... In fact, actually, I'll show you. I've got some here, look. So this is from a woodpecker. So I've got some woodpecker feathers here. Which is a bit sad, actually, because we had found that it had been dispatched by a hawk. But there's some woodpecker feathers here in the UK. Got quite a few of them. Because they were on the floor, so I decided to get a load of them. But yes, I am a very avid feather collector. I love that Gale, so am I. Karina says, au revoir for now, beautiful souls. I'll catch the rest later. Thank you so much, Karina. Thank you for spending this amount of time with us. You take care, and we'll see you soon. Okay, guys. Right, let's get back to it. Let me just come out of here. Right, so I want to come back over and just do a very quick recap of the Whirling Rainbow. I'm still getting used to the pace of things so that we don't go too quick, and I haven't got anything left, but we don't go too slow. So let's just open this up. There we go. So I'd like to do a quick recap of last week's live. So we talked about the Whirling Rainbow prophecy. So I specifically spoke about it from Jamie Sams. Gail says, would love to hear your crop circle experience. Well, I tell you what, guys, if you all pop in the comments, if you would like to hear about that, I can certainly share. But maybe next week. Maybe we'll save that for next week. Possibly. Let's have a look. Chosen 304 says, hello, I'm Chosen 304, a starseed and an earth angel. My name is Carl. I'm the white buffalo, the virgin, and the revelations. I've done a self... I appreciate that very much, Chosen. Thank you so much for being here. So we're going through again the Whirling Rainbow prophecy. So here, to start with, the Whirling Rainbow woman comes from all four directions. Symbols of light usually have four directional points, so we discussed this last week. And ironically, in a little bit of the Garden of Eden information that we're going to go through, again it talks about the four corners of Earth. So I just found again the four directions, the four corners going out across all of humanity. And again, if you think about this whirling rainbow going out to the all corners of Earth, all directions, you have this premise of wholeness. You know, again, it's connected intrinsically to source, you know, to all that is, to the universe, to God, if you will, if that's the word. Whirling rainbow woman, bending her body in the space below, creating a cup shape to catch the rain and protect the circle. In the Arthurian tradition, it holds the Grail at the centre of its traditional wisdom. Percival is asked, whom does the Grail serve? So again, we explored some of the similarities between the Native American traditions and the Arthurian traditions. And again, a lot of the Arthurian traditions are inspired from the mythologies that came before, because the Grail is said to have come through to Britain, you know, through Joseph of Arimathea. So we have two cups mentioned in two traditions, both of which speak directly to a custodianship of the land and its people. Amazingly here, both of these traditions hold the feminine as the core bestower of abundance and responsibility. So again, we have this central theme in the Whirling Rainbow prophecy, which is all about the unification of all nations, all peoples, and all creeds under one goal, under one objective, one unified understanding. And we're hearing a lot, I mean, again, what we're going to go through in a second, there's again references to this unification of what is to come, you know, and I think it is, you know, there will come a point when humanity will have to come together one way or another, and so we're having that conversation right now. Deborah says, James, I read about Findhorn. Have you ever visited there? I haven't, but I do have a friend who was working very closely with Findhorn, and I know Lucas has been there. So they did really amazing stuff, and I know that there was a spiritual connection with Findhorn. I'm sure if you've read, then you'll have heard about that. So it's interesting. I mean, there's definitely a big conversation there. Lydia says, would love to hear about your crop circle experiences. Well, okay, I'll definitely share those then. Perhaps not today, but definitely next weekend we can go through some of those. And Blas says, Free Queen, good energy, love the yin yang symbol, I have it tattooed. Yeah, and I noticed that too. I do love your yin yang symbol. And we did go through that in our first live and our second one, to do with that connection between the heart and the mind. So with the yin yang symbol, as often it's imposed upon where the mind is and where the heart is, and you find this interconnection between the two, and it also of course represents the toroidal fields. So I have my bird feathers. Beautiful Suzanne. Love the raven, or is it a crow? I have a raven tattooed on my back. I might have missed some comments, guys. I apologise about that. Okay, right. So, without the rain, the 3 sisters will die, and the people will not be fed. Amazingly here, both of these traditions hold the feminine as the core bestower of abundance and responsibility. So we talked about that, but it's interesting, isn't it? Because water, when we observe the qualities and the nature of water, we find feminine qualities. Okay, we find flow. We find that water... It's really beautiful, Leilu, the fact that you just commented that. Water is said to hold memory. And then when we look at the nature of our bodies, our blood is said to carry, a tremendous amount of information, obviously, but then also on different levels too. So we have that flow within ourselves. The whirling rainbow is the promise of peace among all nations. The Grail lies in waiting for the right time to rematerialize into physical reality. The rainbow race stresses equality and opposes the idea of a superior race. What is another central symbol of the Arthurian tradition? It's the Round Table, where all have an equal voice amongst each other. Now, really quick, because we're going to do our next meditation in just a moment, that's something that I've always been very passionate about. I know that the Arthurian tradition speaks of the Knights of the Round Table, but I've always felt within my heart that it's not just the Knights of the Round Table, but it's the Knights and the Ladies of the Round Table, or whichever word fits the most. Because, again, when you hear a lot of the parables within the Arthurian tradition, it's often centred around a very wise and very profound female figure. So whether it's a queen or a princess or a hag or whatever, or a maiden who's in distress, usually these are playing a role. Okay, so the maiden, in quotes, in distress is actually often a teacher and a guide for a knight who needs to learn a certain quality. So they're teachers in disguise. Okay, teachers in disguise. So, something that I always find very, very interesting. So, alright guys, we're about 3 minutes away from our second meditation. Just going to keep myself hydrated there. And our second meditation is going to be on, just double checking here, it's going to be our personal meditation for health and healing. Okay? It's going to be our personal meditation. Just going to make sure where we are. Okay. Asana says, are a multi-dimensional representation of the universe. We are a Taurus. We carry the sacred waters within our blood and all bodily fluids. We are the whirling rainbow embodied. Yeah, absolutely. And it's a really, when we start to explore all of the little nudges that we've had over the years to these truths, and we start to piece it together, it can start to bring a much more profound sense of stability into our lives, because like I know that a lot of what David used to share with, what was going on in the world, when we start to focus on the things that are happening in the world, it can be hard, because there's all kinds of crazy things that are happening. We've got the wars going on. I know that they're talking about a new virus over here where we are, and probably all over the world. So all we can do is trust that when we work on ourselves and we get ourselves right, we reconcile the things within us, okay? Or I'll speak for myself. When I reconcile the things within me, when I start to embody a more mature and profound sense of character and consciousness, I know that I'm contributing to the whole in a tremendous way, So, just some thoughts there. Okay, guys. So, we're going to slow ourselves right down. And we're going to get ready for our next meditation. So you guys said you liked the singing bowl, so we're going to start our meditation now. So, I would like to invite you to take a nice deep breath in. And as you breathe out, just relax. Just allow yourself to become centered and present. Nothing else in this moment matters. So, in this meditation, I'd like to set the intention for all of us to collectively, not just ourselves who are on this live, but everybody on the earth, may we see a grand awakening of all of us to our true knowledge of who we are and what we are. The profound understanding that we are all colours of the rainbow, which is seen in our Eastern knowledge of our chakra systems and our ability to heal all ailments within ourselves. As we awaken to the true capabilities that we have within, as we embody that inner love, that inner knowledge, that knowing, as we look after ourselves through our body, mind, heart and spirit, may we find impeccable healing. May we tap into those parts of our DNA, of our mind, which knows exactly how to repair itself. May our bodies become whole and complete. And as we learn to make peace with our traumas, our pains, our sufferings, may we find the deepest sense of healing, happiness, and joy. And may the entire world feel this from every corner of our planet. Danahawio, Great Spirit, it is said and it is good. Namaste and Amen. So now I'm just going to give you a little moment just for yourself. Hopefully to feel that warm love, of that self-love to yourself and to anybody who you wish. Okay, now bear with me just a second. Just clearing out my don't know what's going on with my nose, whether I'm getting a bit stuffy. Sorry, I didn't mean to be too quick and too hasty with the words there either. So, thank you so much, guys. We'll do a little return here. I just love the sound of the singing bowl. It's truly beautiful. So remember, guys, as we set in our original schedule, in the comments I would love if you were willing to share one thing you're grateful for and one thing that you may have got from that meditation. You know, is it could be something to do with your own personal health. Maybe you've had a realization that there could be something that's causing you to become ill, you know, because this is something I've had to do with myself over the years. You know, with my own personal health, I certainly was able to recognize that sometimes my mental states of being, my emotional states of being would cause me to start to get unwell. So I had to really listen to my body. And so I definitely encourage, you guys may anyway, but I definitely encourage you guys to have that communication with your body, you know, because it will work wonders. It really will. Anyway, okay. Alexander says health and healing, amazing, just what we all need. I agree with you, you know, and I'm really grateful we were able to do that. The next one will be a more global meditation. Alexander again says getting to the root cause of all things is really important. I totally agree with you. You know, I have definitely been able to see a lot of I've had experience. I mean, I won't share because it's not mine to share, but I have noticed you know, there have been times when people have sort of had very metaphysical reasons for feeling unwell, and when those metaphysical reasons are removed, often the feeling of unwellness or illness is removed. Free Queen says, my family of origin fell apart, was never a unit, so just to be here and refer to our beloved David with you all is healing my inner orphan hole in my heart. Bless you. Absolutely, of course, you know, and you know, this is why I certainly appreciate you being here, Free Queen, and sharing what you are, because we've all had different stories, and there is value in all of our stories. You know, for you to share that at all opens my heart further to you, you know, because you know, obviously I did have my mother and my father, and so when we recognize, hopefully, you know, this is the true nature of humanity. When we recognize that other people may not have had some of the things that we have had, to me there's a natural inclination to want to try to give it, you know, I want to try to be a part of it happening, even if it can't. You know, there are ways to be family, just like you said. So yeah, I totally agree with you. Deborah says, yes, we'd be interested in hearing about your crop circling experiences. Okay, well, I'll definitely look at that next week for sure. I'll because a few of them, it's been a few years actually, I'd have to remember, but one in particular, I had an experience where I could see the green man, and this, I mean, I don't want to spoil it at the minute, but there was this crazy storm that came out of nowhere. You know, it came out of nowhere. The green man was so obvious in this tree. It was a really surreal experience. And it was totally stumbled upon it by chance, which is equally crazy. You know, to stumble across a crop circle when you didn't know it was there is just mind-blowing. Whoopsie, let's have a look here. Susanna Shaughnessy says, great, graceful grateful for being here and to share it all with you. Love yourself. Totally agree with you. Thank you for tuning in. And he says, recentering of regulation, more check into stability by anchoring energy back into the body. Of course, it's always good to come back to the center, back to a place of presence. That's a really powerful practice for everybody, myself included. Hence why a lot of the prayer that we're going to do in our fourth meditation is titled, I am with you. I am with you, I am present, I am here. That's what the prayer begins with. Nicole says, inner dialogue is very important for health, without a doubt. I can contribute a huge amount of my life to asking those internal questions, and being willing to hear the answers. 1 second, guys. I'm just going to mute my mic a sec. No, I'm not, because I don't have a hanky. Oh well, that's fine. I have about 400, I'm certain, something like that. I haven't, it's only about 10, but I do have a lot of hankies, but I don't have one at the minute. Miem, is that how you pronounce that? Miem, thank you so much for the comment. I'm really grateful you're here. Brizzy says, I'm grateful for the awakening I experienced in 2023. I'm a new person now. I used to always put myself last, and I have done a lot of working and rewiring, and I actually take care of myself now. That's fantastic. I really appreciate hearing that. It's a really beautiful comment to share. Because, it's important, to be able to look after the self. That's why the Light of Albion, the first 4 principles are tend to the mind, tend to the body, tend to the heart, and tend to the hearth. So those are very, the 4th one, beautifully in the sort of 7 symbolism, is becoming the whole, but the first 3 are very much about the self. Tend to the mind, tend to the body, tend to the heart. They are our guiding principles. Gail says, sitting in the sun, a rare day in, is PA Philadelphia? You'll have to correct me. Philadelphia, I think it's Philadelphia. Enjoyed hearing you and soaking in the rays. I love that. I'm really pleased to hear that. We definitely had a lot of beautiful sun today. Sue Skidmore says, love the message about that we all come to a higher realization. Absolutely, I agree with you completely. Asana says, I'm so grateful to have the opportunity to grow from the lessons I've been shown. My gratitude goes into this beautiful new community that has formed due to you, James. Your meditations are inviting. Thank you so much. That's really lovely, sweet words. I agree with you too. And look, guys, sometimes it is hard to be grateful for the experiences you have. Sometimes I've many times in my life I've looked at my life and asked myself, why on earth have things been the way they've been? But as the journey unfolds, I start to learn the value of my experiences, and that's the power of it. Is that Lynn? Hello from Pennsylvania. Thank you so much for tuning in. Beautiful to have you here. Yakes, welcome, my friend. I saw some of your comments earlier. I don't know if I fully replied, but thank you. I appreciate you being here. From the Midlands, which I am as well, my friend. So it's good to it's good to see you here. Alexander says we are all connected one way or another. I totally agree. And let's have a look here. We are all one, absolutely. Pauline says we are all one, without a doubt. All right, guys. I am just going to turn these lights down because we've got getting more darker here in the UK. It's quite strong light. 1 second. Hopefully that's all right. Still looking good? Still looking good. At least I won't burn my eyeballs out. In fact, does it look silly with this? It's a bit dirty, actually. Need a cloth for those. What about these ones? And look, I'm not going to do Tranmar or Angry Daddy, okay, but I do have some pretty snazzy glasses, yeah? So these are the other ones. Now, bit much, can't see my eyeballs, so I'll leave them off. Alright, guys, so we're going to go over to the full monitor. Urisandova. Is that how you pronounce that, my friend? I hope so. If not, I apologise deeply, but thank you so much for tuning in. Chosen popped up and I said choosing in. Thank you for tuning in. Kellyanne says, hello from Long Island, New York. Beautiful. Thank you for joining, Kelly. Appreciate you being here very much. Beautiful. Looking good. Great. Okay. So, the rainbow, just finishing off our little whirling rainbow set of quotes. The rainbow race brings peace through the understanding that all races are one. That sounds a lot like the law of one as well, which again was one of David's gifts to us all. So again, we're talking about the law of one, that all races are one. When all pathways to wholeness are respected by all cultures, the prophecy of the whirling rainbow will be completed. Which again, that bit is actually really important, because when all pathways to wholeness are respected by all cultures, the prophecy of the whirling rainbow will be completed. Now, just really quick, again, when we're having this conversation about when all pathways to wholeness are respected, what does that look like? This is what we've been discussing. What does it look like to go back to wholeness? And again, to me, it's the Garden of Eden, which we're going to get into. In fact, I'm just going to go straight there because it's good to do that after that sort of little final bit. They will learn to walk with the Earth Mother in balance again. These children will be tested as they were when they were red ancestors. Some were disillusioned and have forgotten the high ideals, that should be in yellow, that gave them life when their hearts were young. The herds would once again be numerous after the time when buffalo returned. The generation following the flower children would see the dawning of the fifth world of peace. The wobble would be felt by the Earth Mother and changes would occur in the soil and waters. The changes in our Earth Mother would create fear in her children, which would later lead to the understanding and unity of one planet, one people. The whirling rainbow will appear in the form of a sundog. The sundog is a full rainbow circle around the sun that has bright white lights at the four directions. Now, I didn't get a chance to get these images, but this has happened. Okay, we have seen. Now, unfortunately, with the geoengineering that is happening, and a lot of us are aware of that, that could be what it is, which isn't the most romantic, but it still could be linking into this prophecy of unity and the people of Earth coming together. Enough of the children of Earth will be awakened to carry the responsibility of the teachings, and the healing process will begin in full swing. So this is why I really appreciate you guys spending your time with me, because that's exactly what we're talking about. Okay, the light of Albion, the tend to the earth. Oops. I accidentally summoned Google, apparently. The light of Albion and tend to the earth is all about that preparation. Okay, that responsibility to bring that wholeness and healing together. That's why it's called the light. The light is the seven colours, it's the whirling rainbow, it's everything coming together. It's what it's why I'm so passionate, and so is Lucas, about the light of Albion, because it symbolises so much about what is happening and what's going to happen on Earth. Now, Albion does mean white, but of course, I hope that they're, for future reference, that there isn't a thought about. We've had a few comments on videos we've done, and it's just about love. It's about love. It's about the unification of all colours into one thing. And Albion is the old word for Britain, which is, beautiful word. Many will remember their purpose for being on this earth walk, and will learn to develop their gifts to assist the whole of humanity. Truth will shatter the bonds of separation, and goodness will prevail. Each person will be able to use their gifts with joy and share equally in the bounty created by all those working together. When we invite total truth into our sacred space, we shatter the bonds of separation and illusions that create discord. The whirling rainbow of peace destroys the lies that have made the children of Earth mistrust one another, and replaces the illusion of separation with the truth of unity. Which I love, by the way. So I actually, hold on, because I'm really passionate about this. I would love to go back into this deeper, but I do want to get into the new content. It brings me back to David's wisdom teachings, when people used to get upset when he'd recap. He'd recap things, which is actually, it's a very effective way of cementing information in the brain. So I did always resonate with it, but not everybody did. So we will get to the new content which we're going to talk about, but I wanted to go over this. So again, very powerful that the whirling rainbow of peace destroys the lies that have made the children of earth mistrust one another and replaces the illusion of separation with the truth of unity. Now, I don't know if you remember last week, but I had a dream about being in an agricultural field. There was a flag in front of me with mud on it, and I was trying to wash this flag with a hose. And when I realised what I was doing was folly and silly, I dropped the hose and the storm in the background was on its way over, and I just got in my mind that don't worry about trying to wash the flags. The rains of the storm will do that by itself. Just focus on taking care of the innocent and the vulnerable. Now, if you notice in the beginning, the previous slides, it talks about the whirling rainbow woman bringing the rains. Okay, so again, I just find it very interesting, this really beautiful dream I had in connection with this whirling rainbow prophecy. When the whirling rainbow woman of the Navajo and Hopi brings the... There we go, isn't that funny? I promise you I didn't plan that. Brings the cleansing and regenerative rains to the Earth Mother, her children are also cleansed and healed. Now, the flag that was used by AI, I don't know how I feel about AI. I apologise, guys. It was quite useful to visualise my dream. I don't like using it for many things, but those things I'm kind of okay with. It used the Cedar of Lebanon flag. Now I need to look into that because I don't quite know why it did. I mean, I think about the ringing cedars, which I have the book here. So the ringing cedars are... Oops, hold on. Let's come back over here a sec. So the ringing cedars, this is book 1, but you'll see in the back there, book 2, the ringing cedars of Russia. I just wondered if there was a synchronicity with that dream and the cedars of Lebanon. So, but again, you see, we have it here. This really curious. When the whirling rainbow woman of the Navajo and Hopi brings a cleansing and regenerative rain to the Earth Mother, her children are also cleansed and healed. Alexander here says recapping is how we can remember things. I agree with you. I think it is. It is quite a powerful practice. So I will get through to a few comments in a second, but let's keep going just for a minute. When the rainbow of peace of the Seneca encircles each person's sacred space, isn't that funny? All will walk in truth, respecting the sacred space of others, and the harmony of living on earth will be restored. Now, again, by the way, guys, I'm kind of like, let me know what you think about... We can see your eyeballs just fine. Good, I'm grateful to that. How do you feel about the pace? Am I going too quick? Am I going too slow? Thank you for taking the sound away with the transitions. Victoria's, that's okay. I know a few people in the live were like, keep it as it is, it's a part of you, and I appreciate that. However... Whoopsie. Sorry, bikers going by. When we're doing so many transitions, it can get a bit much. So you were all very gracious with your words, but I did take it out. So I appreciate that, Victoria. And Katie from Arizona, thank you so much for tuning in. Appreciate you for being here. What do you guys think of the pace? Am I going a bit too quick? Would you prefer me to slow down a little bit? Is the pace okay? Let me know, because I obviously want to get through enough so that you can, enjoy what we're talking about, but also, not go too quick, if you know what I mean. And ironically, Victoria, you actually psychically pulled out of my mind, because I was literally about to say about the transition sounds. Did I say about the transition sounds? If I didn't, then you're highly telepathic, because that's why I came back over to ask that question. You had bikers going by, and I had a plane going by. There you go. And we're currently at 444 views, guys, so I appreciate that very much. Don't forget, you know how YouTube works. If you're willing to press the like button on the live stream, should be somewhere on the screen that you're looking at. It really helps to, get this out there, and hopefully more people who enjoyed David will be able to come and join us. Cosmos, thank you so much for tuning in, my friend. I really appreciate you coming back. Thanks for being here. Andromeda says, it's interesting you guys are talking about the sun. I feel like I am healing under the sun. More vitamin D, feeling healthier, recharged, but I have a pagan Norse friend and he told me it's actually the moon that is healing and positive, not the sun. I found it interesting. I have no religion either, but I like to study them. You'll notice in the slides I'm going to do that I personally, don't have to follow my opinion at all. I personally... when I observe nature, we can assign a negative connotation onto things and a positive connotation onto things. And, I mean, to say that the sun isn't positive, to me, is perhaps slightly judging the fact that we don't exist without it. All of our vegetables, our herbs, our trees, our fruits, everything we have as our container is nurtured by the sun. So perhaps I don't want to, say they're right or wrong, but I just find it's interesting. The sun is our giant sort of reactor in the sky that's, giving us life. But I'm certainly interested in hearing their thoughts on it for sure. But everything, like Asana says beautifully there, the sun and the moon both are healing, different forms, different ways. That's it. Everything in nature is a part of a different whole, Andromeda says, I agree with you, James, on the sun. I'm the same way. Yeah. But being respectful to your friend, they might know information we don't. I'm always willing to hear. Free Queen says, this Scorpio lady loves to take 3 a.m. walks under the full moon. I call her my night sun. I love that. That's really cool. I really like that. Cosmos says, I love the sun and Ra consciousness. Beautiful. I agree with you. Bradine says, pace is perfect. Beautiful. Okay, thank you guys. I know that Gail says your pace is just right. Thank you. Suzanne says, perfect for me. No worries. Beautiful, guys. Thank you for that confirmation. Cool. All right, then. Well, let's keep going. Take a little drink. Okay. One monitor. So, and the final little nudge here was that I just loved the fact, and I didn't realise this, I've had this poncho for probably coming up to 5 or so years, and I didn't realise that my 13-year-old Sacred Path cards have the same symbol, which is completely ridiculous. The fact that it's the same symbol and I didn't realise that until now is crazy. But again, the 4 directions... I need to realise, I've been trying to find Native American individuals who perhaps would be willing to educate me on things that I don't know. But again, what this symbol means is curious. I mean, it looks very much like the sun. So, right guys, now it's 1 hour and 33 minutes. I might even wait 10 seconds just to hit the 1 hour, 33 minutes and 33 second mark. Just to be funny, which is going to happen in 3 seconds. 1 hour, 33 minutes and 33 seconds. We are getting into our next part of this live stream, which is humanity's journey back to paradise. So in exploring this, the concept of a primordial paradise garden appears across a remarkable number of ancient cultures, often with strikingly similar features. They speak of pristine living conditions for the inhabitants and boast idyllic conditions which favour a harmonious relationship between humanity and wildlife. Christianity refers to the Garden of Eden. Sumerian texts refer to Dilmun, the Garden of the Gods. We also have the Garden of Hesperides, the Golden Age, and Paradisia. Now, I'm certain it's Paradisia, because I googled the pronunciation. I didn't Google the pronunciation of Hesperides. Hope I pronounced that right. But Paradisia is also another one. But we might have to extend that into next week, because I didn't get a chance to to gather all the information I wanted to for you guys. So my question to you is, what if the truth of these tales is hidden in plain sight? What if, for once, we can actually nail down on a truth from our ancient past which applies to our immediate present? And what if the Garden of Eden is a global garden which reunites all nations, all peoples, and all creeds under one unified, obvious truth? Okay, so this really excites me, and I just want to bring David into this little moment here, because I know that in his exploration of truth, when these things would come up, he'd be really excited, and so am I. This is something that really deeply excites me. That the answer, which when I'm really sitting here, maybe I've just been naive for many years, but when we observe what is said to us in religious texts, in ancient cultural texts, again, they refer to a garden. But when I look back, when you look at the history of Sumeria and Acadia, and the fact that those civilizations fell, when you look at the fall of Rome, when you look at the fall of these massive great civilizations, there's always certain congruent reasons as to why they fell. And oftentimes it's due to certain components collapsing, whether it's the agriculture. So the Akkadian agricultural systems, they used to flood their plains in order to water the crops that they were growing. And because the water was quite salty, the crops started to die because of oversalination. And so again, you have this interesting set of congruent conditions which lead to the fall of civilizations. And it's usually a lack of food. It's usually a lack of an individual being able to be sovereign. So again, the forest garden solves all of this, right? 2.5 acres solves all of it. You have, hopefully, yes, this is a much bigger conversation, and we will certainly get to that in the coming weeks. But it solves everything, because you have an ecosystem which is sustainable. It's diverse in its what you can grow: fruits, vegetables, nuts, leaves, shoots, and roots. If one part of the system fails, if a tree dies, well, you have the rest of the land to look after you and nurture you, right? But like what we see in that great calamity in Australia, when the cane toad was brought in and devastated the ecosystems, when you grow just one crop, it can't hold itself, right? And our entire global industrial agriculture is mostly focused on mono crops, okay? On mono agriculture, which is just growing one type of thing, okay? When you use a forest garden and you're growing many different types of fruit bushes, many different types of berry bushes and trees, when you've got oaks and beeches and walnuts, when you've got different kinds of perennial herbs and different kinds of ground cover, like ground cover strawberries, when you can interweave your vegetables, and you can have a vegetable garden, but the whole point of the forest garden is that it looks after itself in time. What does that sound like? It sounds like the Garden of Eden. It sounds like that time when first man and woman came to whatever the origin story. I can't say I'm sold on any particular one, but let's just hypothesize and say that there's an origin story where planet Earth was created as a paradise. Okay, it was a paradise that had loads of species of fruit and vegetable, flowers, animals, and everything was working in perfect harmony. Okay, if that's the case, we have it around us. Okay, this isn't, you don't have to question whether that's true or not, because nature shows us. Nature shows us that it works in harmony. Okay, and if you design, because unfortunately we have desecrated a lot of the ecosystems and the natural wild spaces, but when you design intelligently with a bit of human intervention at the minute, you can create a paradise. You really can. It's possible, right? This isn't fantasy. It's not mythology. It's not some kind of pipe dream or utopian philosophy. People are doing it. You know, people say, oh, you know, get over yourself. It's utopian fantasy. Well, you know, that kind of is delusional to me, because there are people who are growing forest gardens and they are beautiful. Okay, you imagine walking through slightly mown paths, so you leave most of it to go wild, you know, with a bit of self-cultivation, with a bit of intervention, but hopefully less intervention over time. You know, when you're walking past, you know, I walk up behind me, just slightly changing, moving the subject. I walk behind me, and I walk past a rhododendron, and the smell of an evening is just gorgeous. And that's one species. And that's not particularly a native species either. You know? You imagine having over 500 different species within your forest garden. What kind of complexity of beauty and wonder you'd be able to personally experience. That, to me, sounds like the Garden of Eden. Okay? So, just my little passionate outburst there. It is 1:41, so we are just slightly over, a couple of minutes over for our next meditation. I do want to get back to some of your comments, guys, but right now we'll do our third meditation. So let's go full camera. Take a nice deep breath in. So, okay, guys. Just start our meditation with a beautiful sound. Peridot, you're in perfect timing. We are just about to do our third meditation of the evening. So let's just slow the energy down. Bring ourselves into a centered place. Just allow yourself to relax. And take another nice deep breath in. And as you breathe out, just relax. Okay, guys. Let us not forget the power of collective meditation. All of us gathering here this evening to send our collective intention to the world is tremendously powerful. It will be felt by individuals anywhere on the globe. And it truly does allow us to do something for the people, even if we might be miles away in different places around the world. So now, may we see peace and unity start to show itself in all the people of Earth. From the many distractions and the many upsets and the many dark reports that we get from media outlets and things we see on social media, it can be easy to fall into a sense of hopelessness. But just like our dear David and his beautiful words, there is always hope. For as long as people like yourself and myself breathe and exist on this planet, there is hope. There is hope that our forest gardens and our global garden will be restored. There is hope that we will plant our beautiful trees once more, creating gorgeous green corridors of apples and pears, persimmons, mulberry bushes, blackberry bushes, red currants and black currants. All the beautiful flavours and scents that you could possibly imagine. There are variations of forest gardens that can be grown in almost all locations on the planet. which is the beautiful intelligence of nature, that it and she has provided us with multiple fruits, berries, leaves, shoots, nuts, mushrooms, and all different kinds of edible delights. May all people on earth start to step foot on their sacred lands, be given the opportunity to plant their trees and live in harmony with Mother Earth. From America, Canada, Mexico, Brazil, Africa, all the way through Australia and Russia and Europe, every country, every place on the planet. May our leaders wake up or step down and allow those to rise who have every intention to heal our beautiful planet, to restore its wild spaces, and to bring the Garden of Eden paradise, which is very much around us, in full bloom once more. The Nahawiyo, Great Spirit, it is said, it is good. Namaste and Amen. So I'd like to give you just a moment of quiet for personal reflection and to say any words that are important to you during this little meditation. Okay, right, welcome, we are back. So we'll take this time for a few comments. So as you guys are coming back around, take your time, there's no rush. Please, as with our global meditations, it would be lovely if you have thought of it to share another thing that you're grateful for, or perhaps something that came up for you in the meditation, just over in the comments to the side. And I will read and get through some of your comments. We'll go a little bit back, a bit further up. I will put my glasses on for a second, because just to protect my eyes a little bit. So I want to thank you all for our third beautiful meditation of the evening. Our next one, 139, will be at roughly 2:12. Be roughly at 2:12. So 2 hours and 12 minutes. We'll do our fourth one, which will be the I am with you prayer. So just one thing in the comments that you're grateful for, one thing that you may have received in that little meditation, or one thing that might have resonated with you, if you're willing to share. Hopefully they're clean now. There we go. Okay. These are my blue light glasses, by the way. So for those of you who don't know, a lot of our technology gives off bright LED lights give off quite a bit of blue light. So, I like to try to protect my eyeballs with these. Bradine says, it made me very emotional to imagine create our garden. I love you for sharing that so much. I appreciate that very dearly. It's something that I'm really passionate about as well. Free Queen says, beautiful James, thank you. It's my honour. Thank you for the comment. Leilu says, did you hear my stomach rumbling? Yeah, the sounds of those berries and those fruits sounds pretty good, doesn't it? Cosmos says, God bless. May we live in peace and harmony with nature. 3 Sundays without David. May God rest. May God bless his soul. I appreciate you. And this is our third one. And next weekend will be our fourth. And so we'll keep... That's why... James, I am a geek. I might not have revealed it fully yet, but I am the greatest hidden nerd and geek on planet Earth, or at least one of them. Forgot the... Oops, sorry here, let me just have a look there. Forgot the Miem, what was... Oh, Very beautiful again, James. I see forest gardens all over the world now. I love that, and I know that Lucas will appreciate that comment as well. Because the more that we all hold that vision, the more we hold that imagination. In fact, I love that comment, Miem. I really appreciate you sharing that, because the more that we share with other people to hold that vision of the global garden, it's so obvious and it's so easy. It's not like it's going to take some rocket propelled science. To observe our ecosystems is an easy thing to do. It's the language of nature. So I agree with you, and that's something that I'm actually keeping that vision of the forest gardens all over the world is really important. It's our greatest goal and focus. So, guys, if some of you haven't realised, on Facebook we do have the Restoring Planet Earth Facebook group, which is where we expand upon this conversation throughout the week. Lucas shares some really beautiful videos and posts and things. So if you're willing to come and join us there, and you're willing to find it, I do have the comment in the description. I do have the link in the description, so if you guys would like to come and join it, then please do feel free. Free Queen says, looks great, James, your glasses, geeks unite. Absolutely. I have played video games almost more. I haven't so much in the past few years, because, well, frankly, I don't think there are that many good ones anymore. They are very blurry. I need my hankies. Where have they gone? Where have my hankies gone? I've blown my nose in too many of them, that's the problem. Sue says, just a reminder, especially here in Canada, to pray for preserving all the wilderness still existing. It's quickly disappearing, and preservation is most important. I really appreciate you sharing that, and we will actually include that perhaps in the next after our not next meditation, but the one after, because I agree with you. I really do agree with you. Free Queen says, I have deleted or deactivated all my social media over the years. Call it a social experiment. I think that's fantastic, because as much as social media is currently bringing us together, it's also quite a, should we say, trapping sort of experience. Alexander says, just joined your Insta, Facebook, Telegram, TikTok and X. Appreciate that, Alexander. I love the fact you've just done the whole lot. Thanks, buddy. I really appreciate that very much, my friend. I hope I didn't miss any comments. Asana says, we are the stewards, and if we commit to being her caretaker as we intended, like the Maharishi effect, we can influence her in a positive way. And am I not mistaken, the Maharishi effect is the meditation effect? Is that correct, Asana? If you'd be able to share that with me, I'd be very grateful. Let's have a look here. Gail says, yes, with companion planting with the right plants, the garden can thrive. Pests are not a problem. Absolutely. And you see, this is the thing with weeds and pests. The problem with those two terms, weeds and pests, is that, first of all, weeds, like, the humanity has been gaslit into thinking, I don't know always how I feel about that term, but anyway, it's been manipulated into thinking that there are certain plants that are weeds, and it's just not true. The vast majority of plants, all of them, but the vast majority of plants have a beneficial function. And now I said most, because certain are invasive and, they might be, okay, I don't want this plant in my forest garden, so, okay, it's okay to remove it. But things like dandelions, right? Things like dandelions, which are classed as a weed, and most people use weed killer on them, right? Dandelions are one of the most medicinal herbs that there are. The dandelion leaf, the dandelion root, the dandelion flower, they're all beautiful, and I just eat the flowers straight up. I grab the head, I break the green little leaves off, and I just put all the petals in my mouth, and it's the sweetest, most beautiful pollen-filled mouthful that you could imagine. It's really beautiful. And pests, well, the reason why we have pests most of the time is because the species or the animal that predates on the pest is normally persecuted to near extinction. So here in the UK, we've got grey squirrels. Well, grey squirrels have taken over because we no longer have polecats, and we no longer have pine martens. Okay, so pine martens are the natural predator for the squirrel, and the reason for that is so it keeps everything in balance. Right, that's the point of nature. Nature is always trying to find a harmonious equilibrium, and that's what the forest does. So in forest gardening, there is something called mid-succession, right? So you're trying to find in your forest garden, you're trying to make it so that you're growing to have a mid-succession level of growth, which means that it's not, the forest isn't too old and it's not too young. So you constantly have this successive turnover of trees, of shrubs, of sort of mid-layer trees, so that you can keep the highest level of productivity going. Okay, now yes, that is for us. Okay, so an ecosystem will normally find its own path, but we want to have plenty of fruits and vegetables each year. So you try to keep it in that middle level, right? That equilibrium, and that's what it tries to do. But we're always interfering. You know, agricultural farming is heavily chemical. Oftentimes, things like certain species are like eagles and buzzards and red kites. Farmers who were ignorant for many years have almost, for a lot of them, wiped them to near extinction. But they have a role. They have a role. So the more we learn to live in harmony with nature, the more we start to find that it's the greatest support mechanism on planet Earth. So anyway, Peridot says, this is so calming. James, thank you. It's my absolute pleasure. Thank you for being here. Further up, Leilu said, nature will always find a way. I totally agree with you. Linla, is it Linla? You'll have to apologise if I haven't pronounced that correctly. She says, they say, she, they, he, sorry, I can't see the profile picture fully, but they say, grateful you are continuing in this in David's honour. Thank you so much. I appreciate you very much. Julie Ann says, sending so much love to everyone. Thank you so much for being here, Julie. It's very kind of you. Nicole says, love it. Thank you for being here, Nicole. Suzanne says, I love Mother Earth. She's gorgeous. I agree with you completely. Let's scroll up here. Annie says, I am grateful for this expansive human experience and embodiment to be of service by being a part of Mother Earth's restoration through healing the land, humanity, and the animal kingdom. I totally agree with you. Beautiful comment. Sue says, we could create vision boards and offer gatherings to create vision boards of creating forest gardens. I love that. The only thing that slightly breaks my heart of that is if you Google forest gardens on Pinterest or Pexels or Pixabay and you try to find images relating to it, it is so hard because not many people are doing them, for whatever reason, whether it's because it takes a little while or it's not fashionable, not many people are doing them. Suzanne says, good idea. Asana says, yes, you're correct, James. Appreciate that, guys. Prince Royal has joined with beautiful, colourful love hearts. Thank you, my friend. Thank you for being here. Cosmos says, what do you think about the UFO subject? Maybe we can touch on that as well, especially given the disclosure. David would sure want to see it, or maybe it's a nothing burger. I thought about including them in the slides. Obviously, still very smudgy. I thought about including them. However, when I went to the website, the war.gov website, war.gov, amazing, great US URL. When I looked at the images, it feels like it's like hey, we're releasing these files because we know how much you want to know, and the images are showing nothing. They're showing dots, they're showing specks, they're showing blurry images that you can't really see. Now, I don't know how you guys feel about that. You have to let me know in the comments. But when I looked at it, I just felt personally like it was just a bit of a scapegoat. It's like, everybody wants disclosure and there's a massive desire for it, and it's not even remotely worth keeping us happy. I just felt that the images themselves were weak, But, look, I might be that's just what I felt, but other people might have found it really interesting. But if it's true that a lot of our, celestial brothers and sisters, our celestial movements, is well-known knowledge in the higher levels of governments, then it was a really weak release. I didn't think it had much in it, personally. Alexander says dandelion tea is amazing. It absolutely is. Peridot says, grateful for you. Thank you, James, for doing these live streams in David's honour. Blessing my brother. It's my absolute honour. Thank you very much yourself. Free Queen says, whenever I imagine my future garden into existence, this huge century-old oak tree, very much like Forrest and Jenny's tree in the movie, is always very present. I love to swing on it in my imagination. I love that, and that's really beautiful. My mother bought me a young oak sapling, and it's waiting to be planted for when we get onto our land. Cosmos says, I love dandelion, however not sure about the city ones. That's a really important comment, actually. These are really smudgy. I need to give these a proper wash. I really appreciate you saying that, Cosmos, because I don't pick dandelions where people walk dogs, and I don't pick them next to roads. So I try to pick them a bit further away, because there's less chance of pollution. So thank you so much for making that comment. Also, agricultural fields that use a lot of petrochemical fertilizers and insecticides, it's best to try to find dandelions and whatever you forage as far away from fields and things like that as possible, which is highly depressing because where do you do it? But that's why we're having this conversation. Asana says, every single part of the dandelion can be used medicinally as well as probiotics and alcohols can be made from it. Absolutely. Prince Royal says, if the Ice Age has taught me anything, is that animals love dandelions, especially sloths. I love that. Yeah, I agree with you. And there's always a scene in the original Ice Age. When I was a kid, I could not stop laughing at the melon scene where he slams the melon to the floor. My mum would tell you, I just for some reason could not stop laughing. Let's have a look here, guys. Lynn says, I agree with you, James. I appreciate that very much, Lynn. Alexander says, I saw one that's getting shared a lot is the fractal one, which is us, but I agree with you on it, James. Yeah, it's curious. And Victoria says distraction in question marks, and I feel that. Yeah, I think there are other things that have come out in the public that people want answers for that is being ignored. But we just have to focus upon what we feel, the doing these meditations, coming together, that's what's really important. Manuel says, hi, having a dandelion tea right now. I love that. Here's me thinking that loads of people on Earth, don't quite know the beauty of dandelions, and almost all of you are drinking dandelion tea at the minute. I absolutely adore that. Thank you for sharing, guys. A Real Creation says, I got a bag of dandelion root tea. This is it, guys. We're starting the revolution of the global garden on planet Earth with the dandelion. Actually, now I'm coming to think about it, it does end in lion, which is obviously very connected to me. I don't know if you guys can see the lion I have here. I won't expose myself, but I do have an Arthurian sort of chest mural. It's very lion connected. So yeah, dandelion all the way. It's our symbol. It's going to be, maybe that should be the Light of Albion's logo. I'll have to talk to Lucas about that afterwards. Crystal Waters, thank you so much for being here. She says, thank you again, James, for doing this for us. It's my absolute pleasure. Thank you guys for being here. This live isn't what it is without you guys, so it's an all-round feeling of gratitude. Alright guys, well I think what we'll do is we'll keep going with our slides, because we haven't got to the Garden of Eden yet, and we certainly want to. So let's have a look here. Okay, so the thing that I wanted to share in this part of our live is what is truth. Now, I like these images because it shows that perspective does matter, right? All of these images are true in one way, shape or form. So this is why I like to explore the idea of axioms or self-evident truths, so that it doesn't matter what perspective you're coming from, you can obviously see that it's true. Annie says the dandelion is a bitter herb, a very potent plant, powerful, love that, PPP, potent plant powerful for detoxification, particularly potent plant powerful particularly for the liver. And Annie's a very good, she has amazing knowledge with herbs and well-being, so I certainly appreciate that information coming from you. Sana says, love these images, so do I. You know, it allows us to, as we start to go into this story about the Garden of Eden, just to understand, you know, whether it's a parable or truth or mythological, you know, the perspective, we can all come to our own our own understanding, should I say, sorry. So, the Garden of Eden, the original paradise on earth. The source of all the information I'm getting here, because I love that David used to do that. If you want to have a look at this yourself, you can just go to Britannica, and the topic is the Garden of Eden. According to the Genesis story of creation and the fall of humanity, rivers flowed out of Eden to the four corners of the world. Now, I wanted to add that in because, again, you have these four directions and the river, right? The waters and the four directions symbology yet again. The story of the Garden of Eden is a theological use of mythological themes to explain human progression from a state of innocence and bliss to the present human condition of sin, misery, and death. Now, can I just point out, I might have worded that, I took this from the website. Can I just point out, when they're saying to the present human condition of sin, misery, and death, I'm not saying everybody is in sin, misery, and death, but I know a lot of people are experiencing some of those components. Now, an important identification here that I want to make is a few people associate the word sin with the seven sins, the seven characteristic traits or behaviours that a person can engage in which is not considered in alignment with all that is true and good. And so from the gentleman Neville Goddard, there's one thing that he mentioned that I always really appreciated, and he said that to sin is to miss the mark. Okay, so to sin is to miss the mark, and that is why in my prayer that I really love doing with you guys, the middle paragraph, or sorry, one of the paragraphs talks about may I forgive all those who miss their mark as well as myself. Okay, so missing the mark is what I class as to sin. According to the Genesis accounts, I believe that's chapter 2 verse 4 and chapter 3 verse 24, I believe. God created Adam from the dust of the ground and then planted the Garden of Eden with the tree of life and the forbidden tree of the knowledge of good and evil at its centre. Now, there's also an argument here that this could be the nervous system and the respiratory system, or the vascular system, sorry. So these are also known as trees within the body. The punishment for eating the forbidden fruit was a relegation to an accursed ground with which he and she, I know it's talked about in masculine terms, but I want to also always change things to the masculine and feminine, the man and woman, to which he must toil and sweat for his subsistence. God clothed them with animal skins and then cast them out of the paradise garden, posting an angel armed with a sword of fire to prevent their return. Now, we're going through this. This is in the Bible. Okay, so the reason why we're going through this is because millions of people read the Bible, or hundreds of thousands of people read the Bible. And so it's important to understand that a lot of people are pondering on these quotes. They're considering, they're thinking about these quotes. They're thinking about what is said within this book. And so with this idea that, you know, eating the forbidden fruit, well, what is it said the forbidden fruit is the knowledge of good and evil. Now, maybe, I believe, whoopsie, sorry, I don't want to go too far yet. I believe that a lot of what this story is talking about is that when the souls of all that is, so we are connected to the source of all creation, that I call it all that is, or the universe, great spirit, great mystery, God. To me, we're connected with all that is. Doesn't matter belief, creed, nation, wherever you're from, you are intrinsically connected to the source of all creation. And so I believe that in a roundabout way, we made the decision somewhere along the line to experience duality, okay? To experience good and evil, to experience what it feels like. Jareen, is that Jareen? Jarini 2? I hope I've pronounced that correctly. Don't worry about being late. You're here now, and we're very grateful that you're here and that you can tune in. You can always go back and watch a few to the beginning later on if you wish, but the fact you're here now, we're very grateful for. So, I believe that perhaps, and I like to keep all this open, I don't want to impose my beliefs upon you guys, but I believe perhaps that somewhere along the line we chose to experience duality, or what Bernadette has just said here, which I really love, is Adam fell into a dream of separation. Nowhere does it say he woke up, we're still dreaming, right? So I love that, I really appreciate you adding that on. So in this philosophy, let's come back to full camera a sec. In this philosophy of, let's just say that Adam and Eve fell into a dream state. Okay, we fell into this dream state, and this dream state was this perceived separation from all that is. And in that separation, we're experiencing the full spectrum of everything that is possible. That means the worst of the worst and the best of the best. And now, a lot of people will say, well, why? Why we experience that? Why on earth would we ever choose to do that? Well, the satisfaction of going through, I know what I've experienced in my life, when I go through difficult periods and then I enter into a period of love and peace and abundance and joy, the satisfaction of that is truly mind-blowing. Okay? It's absolutely mind-blowing to experience that transition. So that's all I can put it down to, is that, as we're experiencing that transition, we're adding to the whole. Okay, we're adding to the whole of creation. And so another thing that I found interesting here, so this idea that we fell, let me just stop a second. This idea that we, fell from paradise, or the fall of mankind. Well, maybe the fall isn't so much a fall because we were punished for some reason, but the fall is because we've chosen to experience. Okay, we've chosen to, as Alexander perfectly says here, it's almost like we're living out our own movie or game in this experience. Right, we're a character. I wake up as James every day. For the life of me, I can't explain that absolutely mind-blowing phenomena. Right, I wake up, I go to sleep at night, and I wake up every day as the character of James. I wake up in this body, I look through these eyes, I feel my heart beating in my chest, my lungs breathing in my rib cage, right? I can only feel from my individual experience, just like you can only feel from your individual experience. That phenomena, that experience to me is completely mental, that I am experiencing as James right now through my body. I find it truly fascinating. So, there's 8 billion of us. Okay, there are 8 billion of us who are experiencing this. Apologies, guys. I may have missed some comments. I hope that I didn't. Carolina says, I am so saddened David is gone. A couple of days before he died, he flashed in my mind and I looked him up to see if he was okay. My birthday was the 15th. My son died February 13th, 2025. He was 33. Bless you, Carolina. I really appreciate you sharing that intimate information. I'm also sorry for your loss, and I know that a lot of us here are sending our love to you. This is a very loving, kind, compassionate community that was curated by David, and we're keeping this going. So I hope you feel that you're in good that you're in a good space here and that you're loved. with us. Thank you for being here. I can understand that could be a very difficult and challenging experience. And 33, I like that you shared that, because that's a profound number for many reasons, for many, many reasons. So we share our heartfelt love with you and healing. Free Queen, I really appreciate that comment. Free Queen says, I'm sorry for your loss. You and your grief are safe here. And I couldn't agree more. Thank you for coming and tuning in with us. Very, very loving of you to join us. So again, we're coming to this understanding of this fall, and I don't like using the word fall of man, because I think that that's a bit of a manipulation. I think this was a choice. I think we chose to do this, and we're choosing to have this experience. So let's come. Oopsie, wrong one. Now this quote here: God clothed them with animal skins and then cast them out of the paradise garden, posting an angel armed with a sword of fire there to prevent their return. Now we're going to swirl our way back over here. That last part there to me is immensely important for multiple reasons. Now again, I'm not going to expose myself, but on the centre, just right here on my chest, I have what I call the Grail King, and he has a solar halo around his head. He's like a knight, and he's holding a sword. And just underneath that, there's a dragon that's flying upwards. I might try and show it next week, but it's a bit... it's on my Facebook. It's a bit intimate, so I don't really want to show it too publicly with you guys. But it's showing a dragon, or a serpent, going up to this sword, which is the Grail King. Now, I designed that years ago, and I've had it done for years, but I find this very fascinating, that the top half of it is the other world, or basically the forest garden. So the top half of my tattoo has trees, you'll see just over here. So it's got, here, I'll try and show you a little bit. So there's trees, buzzard, lady of sovereignty, there's a lion, there's Merlin, again there's trees, there's waters, there's all sorts. There's a magical upper ceiling, and the lower part is the third dimensional plane of reality. And so the serpent, ironic that the serpent was the downfall of man, right? This dragon, which could be classed as a serpent, I think is just that experiential mechanism of humanity. And so when I had this tattooed, it's like all of me that I class as out of alignment with paradise, right, out of alignment with Eden or Avalon or higher dimensional consciousness, because I like to try to hold myself to an extremely high standard, okay, and I think that is important. Apologies guys, I don't want to miss any important comments here. Asana, thank you for your beautiful comment. Yelena, I'm so sorry, Carolina. Yeah, I appreciate you all coming forwards. Carolina, bless you. Thank you. It's been the hardest thing ever. Appreciate you very much for being here, and thank you all for the loving comments in the comments section. Again, this is so appropriate for what we're currently talking about. This is all about embodying the highest qualities of personality, of character, so that we can bring love and healing to our lives. Life gets difficult. It gets difficult, things happen, and so being there for each other is really something. So I'm quite aware, I think that we are 5 minutes or 6 minutes. I've been waffling on, apologies guys. I think we're 6 minutes over our fourth meditation, so we are going to do that in just a moment. But I just want to say that, this sort of symbolism, this Arthurian symbolism that I have, with this dragon going up to be judged, right? So I have this sort of like, I kind of channeled quite a lot of this tattoo, but it's kind of going up, and it's this guardian. So interesting, because I've never read this part of the Bible to do with the Eden story until now. But this idea of an angel armed with a sword of fire. Take that metaphorical, take it allegorical, take it mythological, whatever. But it's just very curious, this idea and philosophy of taking all of our behaviours that are not in alignment with the highest standard for humanity, and I don't like prevent their return. I think that's nonsense. I think that's a manipulation. You'll forgive me for my passionate way of saying that, but I think that this is about understanding that we go back to paradise when we've integrated, it might be a bit tiny, when we've integrated every part of ourselves into the whole. And now, if you remember from last week's live, we were talking about the flowering of low grass. Okay, sorry guys, let me come back. and we'll do our meditation. The flowering of Logres. The Grail, the stone, the sword and the spear are all indicative of certain elements in the stories of the Arthuriad, character traits, adventures and quests that they would go on, where they'd learn how to be at the highest level possible. And the Grail winner, Percival, Bors, and Galahad, so the three people who won the Grail. Percival was classed as the innocent. Bors was, he never yielded in his discipline to his family and his child, his son. And Galahad was just, he's basically a Christ figure. Galahad is born as a perfect figure and is often connected to the sun, and often is connected to having ascended after he acquired the Grail. So again, we have this symbolism. I do have the Grail and the sword tattooed on me as well. But again, there's this symbolic nature to our stories, and it's all about embodying the highest qualities of character. Tammy, welcome. Thank you for being here. Tammy says, hello, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers and the single fathers out there in the world. Thank you for that, Tammy. Thank you so much for joining us and being here. Very grateful to have you on. So, guys, we're slightly late for our fourth meditation, and I hope you are okay with it. Let me come back. I don't want to spoil anything. Let's go to our prayer. So we're just over halfway, I believe, or maybe a bit more than that. Present. Okay. Right, guys, get yourself nice and comfortable. Once again, we are going to just bring ourselves into a calm and peaceful place. And when you're ready, I'd like to invite you to take a nice deep breath in. And as you breathe out, just relax. So I would now like to share for our fourth meditation my prayer and poem inspired by the Native American philosophies. It is called I Am With You. And so, Great Spirit, I am with you, I am present, and I am here. I give thanks to the people of plant and stone, to the people who stand where their roots have now grown. I give thanks to those who crawl and who creep, to those with fins who swim in the deep. I give thanks to great eagle and those with wings, whose wisdom and truth Father Sky brings. I give thanks to the chiefs of fire and air, of water and Mother Earth, whose healing I bear. Grandfather Sun and Grandmother Moon, you are the light and I am the tune. Medicine walks reveal what you give, the language of love is the reason I live. The whirling rainbow brings the promise of peace, uniting all people, all nations and creeds. From our hearts to our roots to our crowns above, may we learn all our lessons and be open to love. I give thanks to the directions on the sacred wheel, whose guidance speaks on the winds that heal. As I stand for all that is right and true, so that your loving light may shine on through. The presence of light resides in my heart. May I forgive all those who miss their mark, as well as myself when I stumble and fall, and fail to uphold the highest of all. I walk this path in service to others, for nature, children, my sisters and brothers. My mind is quiet, and my heart is revealed. The earth is restored, and your children are healed. Danahoea, Great Spirit, it is said and it is good. Namaste and Amen. Okay, my beautiful family, I'll give you just a moment here, just in quiet, so you may have a few words for yourself, think about something you're grateful for, something that maybe came to you, and we'll return in just a moment. Okay. Alright then, guys. Oh, bless you. Jeremy, thank you so much for the donation. I really appreciate that. Can I just say, guys, because of all of the beautiful time and attention that you guys have given to the videos and spending time with me, I crossed the threshold to be eligible to be supported financially, but I want you to know that it is by no means expected, and I won't be asking for that kind of support, but the fact that you're willing to share that with me, especially at this time in my life, is deeply, deeply appreciated. So I just want to say thank you so much for the donation. That's very, very kind of you. Very, very kind of you. Alright then, guys, so right, let me know what you felt from the meditation. One thing hopefully that you're grateful for, one thing that maybe came to you through the meditation, and I'll just go up through some of the comments and make sure that we are keeping it going. So, Carolina, might I be so bold as to ask where you are located? Ah, right, apologies guys. Yelena says 100 people watching. Yes, we've gone up to 105 people now, so appreciate you all very much. One thing I will ask, if you haven't already, if you'd be willing to click the like button if you're enjoying this live. It helps it to reach other people who might be inspired and enjoy what we're doing, and hopefully people who loved David, so they can come and join our beautiful community. So if you're willing, please feel free to pop that, click on the like button and subscribe as well if you're not already. It's very, very appreciated. So just keeping up here, guys, going back through a few. Blas says miracles and blessings every day. Thank you so much for your beautiful comment. Tammy says oh, we've read Tammy's comment, but welcome again if you're still here. Thank you for being here. Blas says free will, chances, choices. James, I forgot what we were talking about there, Blas, so I apologize about that. Andromeda says Jesus said the kingdom of heaven is within, and the heaven on earth is already here, but men are unaware of it. We can do it. We can build that beautiful garden paradise. Absolutely. See, this is the thing. Those little nudges are here. You know, they're spoken of in our ancient past, and they're here present with us. You know, so it's really, really powerful stuff. Bernadette says amen. Thank you for being here. And again, Jeremy, I hope I pronounced that right. Really appreciate your donation, my friend. It's very, very kind of you. Jeremy says, love, I am with you. Bless you. Thank you for being here. Very kind. Free Queen says, beautiful, thank you. Leilu says, so nice, lovely. Thank you, Leilu. Very kind of you. Suzanne, love the poem. Sue, beautiful. Alexander says, love the poem. Thank you for your comments, guys. Very kind of you. Jeremy says, I felt true connection when I really needed it. Beautiful. I'm very, very grateful for that. Very much. Bradine says, I'm grateful. I know I'm in the right place. I appreciate you, James. Thank you, Bradine. Thank you for being here. It's really lovely. 107 viewers. More people are coming in. So if you have just tuned in, please say hello. We really do have a lovely group of people here, and we're going to be doing this every Sunday. So I'm very much enjoying spending this time with you guys. Blas says, freaking love poetry. More. Well, I have, at the minute, I've been trying to, you know, get as much ready each week for you guys, so it's been a little bit difficult, but I did think about maybe doing a few more poems and creating a few. So, or if you guys are willing, here'd be a lovely thing that we can do with a community. So in the description we have the location for our Telegram, for our Discord, and for our Facebook group. The Facebook group's probably going to get the most engagement. If you guys have any poems you'd like to have read out, for a meditation, I think that would be lovely. You know, maybe that's a way we can really engage with each other, and you guys can allow your creativity to come out. So if you're willing to write a poem, or if you have a poem you enjoy, please share it with us, and maybe we can include it in our meditations. I think that would be a really, really cool idea. Asana says, thank you for asking us to click the like button. I forget to do this. No, that's okay. And, you know, I am very grateful that you guys are willing to do it. You know, like you say, I mean, we've had another maybe 10 or so people tune in. We're at 618 views, so people have popped in and popped out. They'll probably come back later on. So, you know, it definitely helps. And we've got a lovely thing going here, guys. So it's really nice to do this with you all. Sarah Stowe says, thank you, James. Bless you. Appreciate that, Sarah. Thank you for being here. I feel love and empathy, miracles and abundance. Love it, Alexander. Yakish says, Amen. Appreciate that, Yakish. Thank you for being here, buddy. Alexander, kingdom of heaven is within. Absolutely. Warrior of Light. Hello, welcome. Thank you for being here. They say, beautiful meditation. God bless. Appreciate that very much. Gail says, beautiful and meaningful poem. So interesting to learn that sin means to miss the mark. Well, it was very interesting. So there's like I say, a gentleman who I really like. Some of you guys will have heard of him, Neville Goddard. I do appreciate a lot of his work. And in his work, he does mention that, again, to sin is to miss the mark, you know, which I think is better. You know, because sin has a very, what feels like a bit of an oppressive sort of connotation. Maybe that's a bit strong. You guys maybe share your thoughts in the comments. But when he said that to sin is to miss the mark, it just softened it. And I really liked that. Because, look, like, okay, maybe some people do really, like, dark, heinous stuff. But for a lot of us, you know, to be upset or angry or to be envious or jealous, or it can, you know, those things can come up, you know. So I like the fact that to say that it's missing the mark is a softer way to approach it, which I appreciate, you know. So Carolina says, I will be back a lot as I just discovered this channel. Appreciate you so much, Carolina. You know, join at any time that feels right for you. Thank you for coming to be a part of what we're doing. Crystal Waters says, very touching prayer, James. Also, congratulations on your YouTube promotion. You deserve it. That's really kind of you. And, you know, I just want to, again, thank you all. Like, you know, it's really beautiful that yeah, it's able to support me, because I do this full time. This is for all my life. This is my absolute full focus, is to help build that conversation of peace on earth. You know, and my dear brother Lucas has supported me. So has my mother. You know, so I'm very passionate about doing this. Grace Maxwell says, thank you, James, for sharing this beautiful message. Blessings to you and the group. Love and light. Thank you, Grace. Thank you for being here. Very kind of you. All right, guys, we'll crack on shortly. Grateful for Carolina, Patriot 007, love that. Grateful for being awakened in 2025. Have changed from seed oils to coconut and avocado oils to cook. I love that. Beautiful little tweaks that we make in our life that make all the difference. So I really appreciate you sharing that. And what a beautiful journey you're on, you know, for us to awaken to a more nourishing and beautiful way to live our lives. Totally with you there. Chosen says, peace and love and a raven and dove and lots of good fun. If anyone isn't smiling, isn't it? Yeah. Appreciate that very much, my friend. Thank you for being here. Ginger says, in the Gospel of Mary lies the Saviour's statement, there is no such thing as sin. The Nag Hammadi scriptures, page 738. I love that. I can tell you're a studier. Very much on that. Only adultery, Aramaic idolatry. Idolatry? I don't know if I pronounced that correctly. Worship another God, not Yeshua the Father. I don't quite understand the last part of your comment there, but yeah, I'm hearing you. If you could expand on that, just because I don't quite get the last bit, that would be awesome. Hopefully I'll see your comment too. Okay, guys. Right, I think we'll carry on then. Sue says, that's a beautiful invitation to share our poems. Yeah, I would love that. You know, I think that's really good. So, guys, remember, if you're not already, the Facebook group's probably the best place, because I really want to share a lot in there. I do want to include Discord and Telegram. I know Free Queen said that she's not on social media, so Free Queen, if maybe email or perhaps YouTube. You can't do comments on YouTube, but if you can get in touch, you know, hopefully there's an avenue for everybody to be able to share. That would be lovely. Alexander says all roads lead to Mary Magdalene, which would certainly fit with the honouring of the space that the divine feminine holds. You know. Alexander says, where can I find your Facebook group? I followed your pages but can't find the group. So in the description of this live, it should say Restoring Planet Earth 2.5 Acre Forest Gardens. That's our Facebook group. So if you can't find it, I'll perhaps try to do a post, but it is on Facebook. So you should, if you type that in, let me try and show you. Hold on. What am I talking about? Let me show you. I have it here. So for you guys who would love to join on Facebook, come over to the full monitor. Nothing else? Yep, good. Okay, so this is our Facebook group. Lovely picture of what we foraged last year, Annie and I. Beautiful sweet chestnuts and gorgeous crab apples. Is really nice, and the apples from our tree. If you want to join, we have this group here. You can see my face, and I didn't clip the first bit. So I look very miserable in the beginning, but I promise you it's a good picture. So we share, beautiful things about nature. I've been sharing when we're live. There's people in here, a little bit about what we are. So if you'd love to come and join, we talk about our future, children have a bright future. Please feel free to come and join us. So anyway, let's get back to it. What time is it? 2:35. So roughly about 3ish. We'll do our next meditation. I do want to get through. As you see, guys, there's a lot to get through. Hold on. Okay. Right. Keep going. So, from a state of innocence and bliss to the present human condition of knowledge and sin, misery and death. So the part that was very important to me in that bit was the innocence and bliss. This is again in correlation to what we saw in David's eyes in this live meditation we watched in the very beginning. Very soft, very gentle, very loving. Children are are often very innocent and blissful. You watch a child play and it's got that beautiful innocence about it. And so could this idea of the prevention and the kicking out and the expelling of this Garden of Paradise, could it be a manipulated parable of humanity's separation from the Great Garden? And I should have done capital letters for those because it's certainly deserving of it. A separation leading to a life of toil and sweat. Again, we're the only species on the planet that pays to be here. Nancy, welcome. Thank you for tuning in. Nancy says there are a couple of food forests in my neighbourhood here in New Zealand, in Zeeland, the Netherlands. I love that, Nancy. If you're part of the Facebook group, I'd love to see some images of those forest gardens, or perhaps what they're called. It'd be amazing to read those. So my question is, what is really going on here? What's really happening in this parable? And so what I'd like to share is what I believe are some axioms, some undeniable obvious truths. One of them is the sun rises and falls every evening. Okay, so the sun rises in the sky and goes down in the evening, and it supplies us with all the light and all the energy we need to live and exist and grow. Blah says 125 likes. Thank you so much, guys, for the likes. It's very kind of you to do that. Thank you very much. Deborah says, what a beautiful poem, James. Can we copy it for ourselves? Is it available on your website? You are absolutely welcome to copy it and use it for yourself. You can credit me if you like. It would be nice. But if it brings joy to somebody's life, then I'm more than happy for that. I have got the link to the poem in the description too. So somebody mentioned here... sorry here, guys. Somebody mentioned about the... see more. So if you go to the description, it should say see more, and it'll be down a bit further. Andromeda says, I can't make a super chat donation. It's just spinning and then does nothing after I press go to purchase. Anyone else? Bless you, Andromeda. I really appreciate you being willing to donate. That's really, really kind of you. I'm not sure why that would be the case. Perhaps maybe refreshing or closing down your browser, refreshing might help, but that's really, really kind of you. Thank you for being willing to do that. It's really, really kind. Another axiom is our moon, that our moon is involved with our tidal systems. You know, these are things that we can't deny, and they're found in nature. Not only that, but we can't deny that we have seasons, we have gravity, and in our lives we have life and death. Okay, so when we're exploring these ancient parables and we're having a look at Peridot and Blaren says 111 people watching. Thank you guys, really love you guys for being here. So we have our seasons, we have gravity, we have life and death. Okay, these are things that are present truths in our world. And so another set of truths in connection to this Garden of Eden, this global garden, this great garden, is that our forests have autonomous cyclical regeneration. Right, in the spirit of light and death, it goes and comes around. Okay, we have the life cycles of from egg to death, and from like, for example, the caterpillar and the butterfly and everything in our life. We have a planetary unity. Right, we have a planetary unity. The trees are connected to the mycelium. The very air itself means that we are connected, all of us. You know, we, even from the pollen in the air, everything is connected, right? These are truths that we can accept. And there are no borders, right? The only borders that we have are the ones that human beings create. In nature, everything is connected, right? There is a beautiful story about the Nepa state. So I perhaps will share that in a few other live streams. But the Nepa state had a problem with thistle. And they found that the monarch butterfly, I believe it is, the monarch butterfly, which was migrating from France, found their thistles and solved their problem for them. Right? So there's this beautiful energy of autonomous cyclical regeneration, planetary unity, and there's no borders, right? Whatever problems we have in regards to, you know, in our forest gardens, in our life, you can bet that nature will conspire from all over the world to help solve your problem. And that is something that I adore, is that the intelligence of nature will try to do its work from everywhere across the globe. You know, I find that outstanding. Let's just have a look here, guys, some of the comments. Also on Telegram, sin is the absence of love, which that's a really nice way of putting that, Crystal Waters. I like that. You know, you could argue absolutely that sin is the absence of love. You know, because when we think of love, let's come just to main camera. When we think of love, there are certain qualities and attributes that are assigned with love that mean that, you know, we're not going to behave in a way that's going to attack our friends, family, brothers, sisters. You know, we're going to try to be kind and compassionate and considerate. You know, these are the qualities of love. And love is often connected with light. Light is often connected with the sun. And if you think about unconditional love, which is what we're talking about, right? Unconditional love is found in nature. It's telling us, you know, the regeneration, the unity, the no borders in nature, that's love. You know, those butterflies that came from France to solve that problem, that's love. You know, it's service, it's love. Let's have a look here. Chosen 3 of 4 says egg is life, which is interesting because there is a idea about the egg of life, okay, or the that sort of egg premise. Because even on the permaculture book, do I have it available? Yes, I do. So this is another gorgeous Bible. This here. So if you guys aren't aware of this incredible body of work by Bill Mollison, you can see here you have the egg. You know, you have this sort of like almost biblical imagery on the front of the book here of the serpent and the egg and the cyclical nature. You know, what am I trying to say here? The infinite cyclical nature of nature. It's beautiful. So thank you for that, Chosen. Prince Royal says, question for the chat. Not sure if YouTube is not showing or loading my comments so as not to spam the chat. Can anyone see my last message in the chat? Prince Royal, I don't know where your comment might be. Would you be able to share it now? It's been a while since I can see you sharing anything, so apologies for that. So yeah, Wade, Deja Vu, see you, Prince Royal. Hey, nice guys, nice for you all to tune in. Thanks for being there. Have I gone up a bit too far? I have, yeah. Free Queen says, remember guys, can't talk butterfly to caterpillar people, all in divine timing. Yeah, interesting. It isn't, yeah, interesting little idea there. Katharina, if you're getting late for me, see you all next Sunday. Thank you so much for being here. Take care of yourself. See you in the next one. Bernadette says the great recycling. Yeah, another beautiful way to put it. I totally agree with you. Alright guys, let's have a look. Wade says, it's been fun, but I gotta run. See you soon, my fractal friends. Love that. Take care, Wade. All I love, my friends. See you soon. Let me check the time. So 2:45. We're probably overdue our meditation, aren't we? So what I think we will do, it's possible we might blend 2 into 1, because I think we may have overran slightly. Yelena says, good night, bye everyone. Thank you, James. Yelena, take care. Have a lovely evening. See you soon. Alright guys, so Blast says maybe we can do Zoom group links in the future, James. Yeah, a few people have asked for that, so we could do. That would be nice to be able to have a conversation with everybody, so definitely able. Ginger says, implying the improper attachment to the body. Note my 500 edible plant garden post there in England. Would you be able to his point is theological. What am I missing here? Did somebody mention anything else? Ginger says his point is theological. God is the author of everything that exists, and God is completely good, hence sin cannot really exist. Rather, he talks about the alienation from God as... Oh, you were elaborating on what you said. Thank you. God is the author of everything that exists, and God is completely good, hence sin cannot really exist. Rather, he talks about the alienation from God as adultery. I get you. Thank you. Thank you for elaborating. Implying the improper attachment to the body. Note my 500 edible plant garden post there in England. Interesting. Yeah, no, I totally hear you. Alexander says the infinity sign. Yep. Okay, guys. Right. So, let us stay on track as much as possible. We might do a couple of quicker meditations. I still have a few things I want to show you guys. So, just get nice and relaxed. Just need to come out of here. Just want to check our theme. Oops. So, just get yourself nice and relaxed. The meditation that we are about to do is going to be a global meditation for love, goodness, and community. Let's take a nice deep breath in. And as you breathe out, just relax. It is a truly beautiful acknowledgement to observe the community that we are nurturing in these live streams. I would like to suggest that from the center of our hearts, we radiate out this energy of love to all people all across the world, and allow them to feel the kindness, the compassion, the decency and the goodness that we're all radiating in these live streams to each other and to the world. Allow our example to be felt by those who need it most, and hopefully to inspire a change of heart in those who are seeking control and colonization of our world. Allow them to see the folly in their endeavours, and to them we show them the beauty of being able to see free children and free people enjoying life at the highest level. Pulling apples off their apple tree, making apple juice or apple pie, bringing it to community dinners and community teas here in the UK. Imagining this beautiful spirit where people are able to go back to their 2.5-acre forest gardens afterwards and enjoy the peace and serenity of their own little piece of paradise, their own little Garden of Eden. And may future mothers be able to conceive and grow and give birth to their children in these gardens of paradise, so that the trees and the animals recognize the full term and recognize the child being in this beautiful space, not being in a clinical area without nature, without wildlife, and still being able to give birth in a safe and practical way, a natural way, the way it always should have been. Allow fathers to also be able to express their love to their family without the pressure of the 9 to 5 or the 12 to 7, some people. Allow people to be able to pursue their deepest passions. And if another penny doesn't come into their bank account, they have everything they could ever need. Clean water, clean air, food. A beautiful space to call home. And may billions of people be able to experience that all throughout the earth. Danaho Wiho, Great Spirit, it is said, and it is good. Namaste and Amen. Take a little moment now, guys, of peace and quiet for yourself in your reflection. Maybe one thing you're grateful for. And we'll come back in just a moment. Okay, alright then guys, welcome back. Let me know in the comments anything that came to you, anything you're grateful for. And Sally Anderson, thank you so much for the donation, that's really kind of you. That's really sweet that you've been able to support the live streams that we're doing. Thank you for doing that. Again, it's because of you guys that I was able to earn on YouTube, and it's really kind of you because it helps to keep me going, helps put groceries in the cupboard and fuel in the car, as I like to say to some people who've been very kind with their support. So thank you so much, Sally. It's very kind of you to do that. And remember, guys, it's not expected, but deeply appreciated. You know, I want you guys to. I enjoy this with you. You know, this is what my life is about. But yeah, very kind of you. Thank you so much for that. So we'll go up a little bit higher. Suzanne Kasak, is that Suzanne Kasak? Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. She has asked, can you show the book again, please? The author and title. I absolutely can. So if you're still watching. Here, I believe this is the book I hope that you're on. You might be a little bit earlier in the live, but if it is this one, this is the one. So it's the Permaculture, a Designer's Manual by Bill Mollison. Now, these did go out of print, but a company called Tagari started printing them again. I was able to get this many years ago for a very good price. But they're the Bibles of nature. You know, as well as my edible forest gardening books, which I actually can show you this one. So if there are 3 books that I recommend to any soul on the planet, it is the permaculture book and the edible forest gardening books. I've had these for a long time as well, and they are just absolute Bibles for everything to do with forest gardening. Let me show you a cool picture. Can I find one? Let me see. Sorry, let me try and find a really cool picture. So like, for example, here, you can see there, showing how to how to cultivate mushrooms, good ways to do it. They're honestly, Dave Jack and Eric Tonomizer, phenomenal guys. Really incredible body of work. I will use these for the rest of my entire existence, so it was, well spent. So let's bring the bowl back into view. There we go. Suzanne O'Shaughnessy says, many blessings to you. See you next week. James, you're so beautiful. Thank you, Suzanne. It's very kind of you. Catch you next week. Thank you for being here. Very kind of you. I hope that I'm getting through the comments okay. Brizzy says, we timed our Mother's Day dinner for after the live. Tree Dog and I will be here till the end. Bless you both so much. I appreciate you both very much. Thank you for bringing your presence. And I hope I'm also going to have a beautiful pasta bake that Lucas made. I'm going to eat that after the live, so looking forward to that. But deeply grateful to be here with you guys. Alexander says, the time has just gone so fast because we're all in alignment. I agree with you. We haven't even got through all of the content yet. We might have to carry it on next week, but I kind of like that because I really enjoy doing 3 hours and 33 minutes. But I don't want to, I want to be able to sort of go through things together with you all. So we're going to have to maybe do 2 meditations together at the end, I think. We'll finish with David and we'll finish at the 3 hours 33 minutes as usual. Jeremy says David is definitely here. I really feel that too. I agree with you. There's, especially last week with the technical difficulties, I think we all felt felt that his presence was here. Ginger says Celtic Gaelic Republic Island exists. Look at the 500 edible plant garden there. Post, please. Ginger, I apologise if I haven't read that. So Celtic Gaelic Republic Island exists. Look at 500 edible plant garden there. Post, please. I definitely will. Would you be able to perhaps either put a comment on my recent post or message me on Facebook? I'd love to know exactly what you're sharing because it sounds amazing and right up my street. Nature always conspires. Paul I can never pronounce that gentleman's second name. Coelho? Coelho? I agree with you. Ginger says, it's just one of the following determinants is a yes for you, then you can self-identify as an indigenous Celtic man or woman and become a member of our Celtic Forest Nation of beautiful. I love that. Okay, sorry, I apologise for my misunderstanding. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, definitely would love to check that out for sure. Cosmos says, thank you so much, that was good. Thank you, Cosmos. The earth will be restored to a paradise like it was in the Garden of Eden, an abundance of grain and peace. I love that creation. Thank you for sharing. Leilu says, beautifully said, couldn't agree more. Blah says, tongue twister, a few of those. I've been tripping over my words a few times in these lives. Crystal Wood says, are you saying that David is in the chat? No, I'm sorry, just probably. Let's hope so. Bernadette says, thank you all for landing your presence to this, and thank you all too. It's very, very beautiful for you all to be here. Deborah says, the movie Avatar points out what you're talking about, James. The Na'vi were all one with everything in it. And absolutely. And I appreciate you sharing that, Deborah, because I really like the Avatar films and I've watched the last 2 and I have to admit, I feel like it's moved slightly away from that. The first one was all about the beauty of Pandora and kind of, I know a lot of people sort of had this super intense desire to move to Pandora, and it's because they know that garden exists, So, yeah. Great Popcorn says, this has been beautiful. Appreciate you very much, my friend. We're going to keep going. So we might end up missing one of the meditations today, but we'll kind of blend them into one, and we'll finish with David, of course. Crystal Waters says, no one has really ever gone. I totally agree with you. So, Free Queen says, I agree, James' initiative to create this space to land and gather. And then you see familiar names from David's chat here. You do, absolutely. It is really catching me mid-fall in a pit of grief. Really appreciate you sharing that. Love you very much, guys. Andromeda says, still not able to donate. I'm so sorry, James. I'll try next week. Bless you, Andromeda. It was really kind of you. Thank you for trying. It's very sweet of you to be willing to do that. So, thank you again. Very, very, very kind of you. All right, then, guys. So, let's keep going. So, Axiomatic truth, right? Nature, we have cyclical regeneration, planetary unity, and there are no perceived borders in nature. Okay, so we have this display, and I like using the eagle because of, you know, the Native American premise of the eagle being connected to grandfather son. So we have this nature's intelligence and this representation of unconditional love, you know, which I find truly, truly beautiful. Mama says, Avatar, I see you, I love you always. Yeah, I love that too. It's a really lovely way to say it. So one thing I wanted to also bring in here is this concept of as within, so without. Excuse me. So we have, with a tree, we have the crown of the tree, or the canopy. We have our crown chakra, third eye, throat, the heart chakra, and then solar plexus, is supposed to be plexus, apologies, sacral and root. So here we have this example of the crown and the root, okay? So you have this mirroring in nature. And so, again, we have the crown chakra and the crown of a tree, heart chakra symbolic of the trunk, root chakra and the roots of the tree, and our friend Michael has something beautiful called holism and holism. Okay, so holism is the idea of the external, so bringing wholeness to planet Earth. Okay, so our ecosystems, the ethics of our planet, and holism is our internal self. Okay, and I just really like the play on words that he's done with it. You know, I think it's really beautiful. So you've got holism and holism. You know, so you've got the external and the internal, and again, little chakras in between. And this image on the left here is actually from a place near us called Henband. Really, really amazing place, and the soil they have there is gorgeous. You know, the soil with it's 2-3 inches thick. It's really, really amazing. So again, a lot of you will be aware of this, but I just want to bring a little bit of attention to it. So with this idea of as within, so without, again, don't forget in the Garden of Eden story, it talked about this angel with a flaming sword, which is preventing Adam and Eve, or men and women, from re-entering the Garden of Paradise. Now, I like to think that this is a mythological parable of what is required to embody paradise. Because paradise isn't just the garden, it's our internal state of being. Right? When we're talking about paradise, just like what we're all representing, this idea of paradise is within us, this embodiment of love, of kindness, of compassion. All right? So when we think of, crown chakra, third eye, throat, heart, each of these colours of the rainbow, right? So we've also got the whirling rainbow here. Each of the colours of the rainbow, each of the colours of the chakra, they all are connected with wholeness and oneness and unity. All right, so when we embody all the lessons, this is in that poem that we really enjoy, the I Am With You poem, all the lessons that we embody of that whirling rainbow lead to unity. And when we have that internal unity, we're then ready to create paradise on earth. And I know that David was very passionate about this. I know that he shared this a lot. And it's something I'm passionate about, okay? So every one of these energy centers within us holds wisdom and knowledge, which is important for the whole, the unity. And so the more we embody this in ourselves, regardless of the discord in humanity, the more that we're ready for bringing paradise on earth again, for bringing this beautiful energy of earth back again. Thank you all for the comments, guys. I will... Nancy says, I've written your poem in my journal. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. That's really kind. Soul Coach Suzanne says, this has been very beautiful, James. I've appreciated everything shared. I was on a walk to a farm and into the woods, listening and stopping for the meditations. It was helpful for me to focus better. I love that so much. And I agree. If you can, guys, if you can do this out in nature, it's a really beautiful thing to be able to do that. Okay, right, so let's keep going real quick. So I wanted to share a couple more things and then we'll do our final live. So completing the internal journey. What if the greatest source of knowledge was all around us this entire time? What if we didn't need an intermediary to have access to this great source of pure love on earth? What if this ancestral prophecy of unity, love, oneness, restoration, abundance and peace is happening right now as we speak, you know? So that's something that I find really, really curious. India Mace with a $10 donation. Thank you so much, India. That's really kind of you. I really appreciate everybody's generosity. You know, again, not expected, but so heartfeltly appreciated. So thank you so much, India Mace. It's very kind of you. Thank you for supporting what we're doing here and helping to keep me going. It's very, very lovely of you. Thank you so much. So I love these questions. I think these questions are very important. I think they're vital in regards to this exploration of humanity's return to paradise, you know. And so I wanted to share with you, Lucas and I have had some really beautiful experiences with nature. And probably giving a little bit too much away here, but one morning I was walking outside, and our neighbour is close by, and so Shwadavi, thank you, James, once again. Great show, listening to you doing yard work here in Denver, Colorado. The perfect place to listen to this live stream. Thank you so much. That's really, really kind of you. And I've now got the pronunciation of your name properly. Shwadavi. Lucas educated me on that as well. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you very much. I believe we have a Russian individual who's tuned in. Thank you for joining. I am unable to read what you've said at the minute. Maybe there is anybody in the chat that can speak Russian. I believe it's Russian. Ukrainian? Might be insulting someone there. I certainly hope not. But if anybody can translate that, it'd be amazing. Thank you for tuning in. Very kind of you. Chosen says, I'm an intermediary. I can translate through telepathy. Well, I would love to see that, my friend. Thank you so much for sharing. Andromeda has replied. Well, hopefully it would be lovely to hear what the comment was. So Shwadavi says, yay, James. No worries. I appreciate you tuning in. Thank you so much. Soul Coach Suzanne says, bless you everyone for your donations to James. He so deserves them, and it comes from all our hearts. Thank you so much, Suzanne. It's really, really kind of you to share that. So yeah. Blas says, phone's running out of juice. Have a lovely week, guys. Positive, beautiful vibes your way, whatever y'all may be. Thanks, Blas. Thank you for tuning in all this time. Very grateful for you to tune in this long. Really kind of you. Right, guys. So anyway, I was walking out and I was speaking to my neighbour, and my neighbour had kept me chatting for a while, and then when I walked to observe the mountain, this is what I saw. So right above the top of the mountain, there was a love heart and I don't normally like to take my phone outside with me, but I had to run inside and I had to grab my phone because it was absolutely mind-blowing. So this was the 22nd of November 2025. Now, this mountain is also, Lucas and I have had a few other really crazy experiences with this specific mountain. You know, when the Aurora Borealis was presenting itself, we had a red beam out of the top of the mountain. The Pleiades came just above the top of the mountain at a very particular moment. A full moon as well. There's been so many amazing experiences with this. James, he said, do not believe anything in anyone, including your family members. I don't think it's necessarily always true. So I asked him, why does he think so? Just curious. Well, I agree with you. You know, I've got some beautiful family members which I trust with my heart and soul. So if you're, whoever it was that was commenting, if you're going through a rough time with family members, I'm truly sorry to hear that. Hopefully you can find a peaceful and loving resolution. You know, I understand how you feel. I understand how you feel, but you know, there is still goodness in the world. I know it can sometimes annoy people because they don't feel that, but you know, you're loved from us, so hopefully you're able to feel that. Okay, I'm slightly exposing myself here. It is my belly. You know, so this I completely forgot that I put this in. So there was a heart above the mountain. Okay, this is a very special, very sacred mountain, and this is the tattoo I have on my chest. So I tattooed a heart in anatomical. Oh, I can't even say that. An anatomical. That's not how you say that word, but I can't pronounce it right now. I have a heart above the mountain on my belly. And I don't know whether it's appropriate for me to show you. I don't think it is, but I will slightly. It's right here. So I have a love heart right here above the mountain on my belly. And so when I saw this, it didn't click with me, because it's easy to forget when you have artwork to put on yourself. It didn't click with me that I have a heart above the mountain, and this was what happened. So this to me was a very obvious message that anatomical. Thank you, Asana. Yeah, I was truly struggling with that one. Anatomical, thanks guys. Peridot, Asana, Prince Royal, thank you guys, appreciate you very much. So yes, what is insane about that is I have a heart tattooed at the peak of a mountain on my belly. All right, not that you all want to see my belly, but still, I just found this crazy. Now, my reason for sharing this with you is, again, these messages of nature. You know, nature brings us messages when we need them the most, and I believe this in my bones, that our connection to all that is, Great Spirit, Universe, God, whatever, is found within nature, you know, and it's easily found within nature. So another one from the 13th of January, Lucas and I were going for a bit of a walk. We went to a local lake, and there were 4 locations that we could have gone to go and sit, right? We decided to park up once, then we decided it was the wrong place. We wanted to go to another place, wrong place. That happened another 2 times, and we finally came to a little bit on the edge. And when I looked up between these trees, it was hard to see, you know, it wasn't easy to see it. We found this absolutely perfectly shaped moss heart. Okay, so I just wanted to share these beautiful little odes to the messages of nature. You know, and here's Lucas. I have permission to share this. I haven't put the clear images in, but this raven was approaching him, didn't fly away, didn't do anything, and he sat with it and he fed it a bit of seed and things, and it, you know, absolutely loved it. So, and then of course you'll see me here, one of the yes, I'm barefoot in the forest. You know, you'll often find a geeky, nerdy forest man hanging around. And I won't share this story here because it's quite a mystical story. But we had this really weird experience with information coming through about an egg, and a chicken appears in this forest out of nowhere. And there is actually another image I want to share that I didn't put in, which was really powerful, but it was just out of this world. So we had this beautiful chicken appear. And again, you know, there's just all these beautiful little moments with nature. That's my hand with a little blue tit. I can't see the bottom. So it's a great tit or a blue tit or a cold tit. I think it's a blue tit. So yeah. And then, ironically, which is hilarious, because I highly underestimate... Sorry, guys. I highly underestimate how much information we can get through in a live. Because I wanted to go through a story... just going to have a drink a sec. Sue says, Mother Nature always talks to us, we only need to listen. I totally agree with you. Absolutely. Alexander says grounding is important. It is indeed. It's why I make sure I try to do it as much as possible. Asana says, I'm sure aware of this, but the heart is a resonance chamber. It is not a pump. It is one continuous long tube that is turned within itself to create the chambers. Ironically, yes, I am aware of that, but only recently. So I only remember hearing that information come through over the past, 12 months or so. That wasn't what I believe common knowledge. Or at least it wasn't to me anyway. But yes, and that's where I think, again, we get this toroidal field principle coming from. Soul Coach Suzanne says, I love the heart connections and the messages in nature. Very beautiful moments. Absolutely. So, guys, we are 3 hours and 13 minutes into our lives. So we have 19 or so minutes left. So instead of rushing the elements of the Anastasia principle, I think I'd like to go into this and Anastasia's take. So I'll just go back real quick. So in this full monitor, oopsie, whoops. So obviously, I don't know if you guys have heard, but the Anastasia, this is actually my book. I took a picture of it. So the Anastasia books are really curious books. So if you haven't heard of the Anastasia books, they basically... Oh, Stephanie Meyer? Sorry if I've said that wrong. Stephanie says, I missed most of today, but I will watch later and meditate later. That's absolutely no worries, Stephanie. Thank you for tuning in. Very kind of you to be here with us. If you watch afterwards, absolutely, it'll still have just as much of an effect. So thank you for being here. Ginger says, David's otherworldly above and below needed for cosmic law restored. Absolutely. Asana says, I learned the heart info in medical school. I love hearing that. They don't want us to know this, but it's very real. Yeah, very curious. Thank you for sharing. Deborah says, I was shown in a dream that there's 8 chakras. It's called the higher heart chakra. It sits below the throat chakra and above the heart. Wonderful. I'd love to know more about that, because that's something that I'm not fully familiar with at this present moment in time myself. Free Queen says, I am sorry to hear about your cat. Oh, what have I missed? Oh, I'm very sorry. Rihanna, with loved ones having. My sweet cat is also getting ready to go. It's so weird. Oh, bless you, Crystal. I'm very sorry to hear that as well. You know, one thing I've had a few animals who have crossed over with myself, and I've often had these really beautiful sort of meditative moments where I've seen them join sort of Native American individuals and things like that. So I have no doubt that if that's the case, then that might be the same. So I send you, of course, my love, and I hope for an easy passing, and no doubt you love them to the maximum capacity. So apologies to hear that. I can only imagine what Colin Megiza would say about your Muriel, James. Crikey. Well, I don't actually know who Colin is. I'll have to write that down, actually. I'll have to pop that in. Let me have a look. Colin Megiza. I'll have to pop that in afterwards to check that out, my friend. Hopefully nothing too too upsetting. Peridot says, I've heard of the higher heart too. Suzanne says, may I share here? I made a prayer giving thanks. Then a little rainbow appeared next to me in the sky. That's absolutely beautiful. Thank you for sharing. And what an incredible ode to everything that we're talking about. Chosen says there are 5 chakras in the brain. I love hearing that. It's very interesting. Asana says Colin is one of David's characters. Oh, no way. Now that's crazy. How did I not know about Colin? I know about Angry Daddy and I know about Tramwar, but I never knew about Colin. Isn't that funny? Look at that. Peridot says Colin Megiza. Oh, thank you. No, sorry, I do know that. I didn't read the last bit properly. Megiza. Yes, I do remember now. Yes, I remember. Typing his name in, trying to find some philosophical individual online. Sorry about that, guys. Gail says one of David's characters. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, I get that now. It was the Megizah that put me off slightly. But yeah, I hear you guys. Absolutely. Prince Royal says, James, Colin Megiza is related to Angry Daddy and Tranmar. Colin is the Aussie. Yeah, I remember now. Thank you for sharing, guys. Yep. Free Queen says, listen to the album The Rainbow Children by Prince. That was a prophetic and biblical too. It's all coming together. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know if... I may have heard that one. I don't know if I have exactly, but I'll have to look into that for sure. Okay, right, well... what we'll do now then, so we are, 13 minutes? Right, so we will merge our last 2 meditations. So if you guys are comfortable, so I'm just going to prepare, again, this third one of David's here, there wasn't particularly a global meditation at the end, but I'd like to finish by just listening again to the words of wisdom, and also him skipping to the smile with the face that he had. I found myself being very present with that. It seemed very interesting. So we'll merge our 2 meditations and then hopefully have a bit of time at the end. Prince Royal says, sorry for the distraction, I missed David. No, not at all. I apologies I didn't click at the time with what you were what you were sharing. And I like the comedic relief too. It's important. Anita Smith says, I'm always barefoot until the occasion calls for shoes. I love that. One thing that encouraged me to go barefoot years ago was somebody had mentioned that they went to visit a Native American lady, and when she came out of the flap of her teepee, she turned and she pointed to her shoes and she said, "Your shoes are killing you." And she said, so that just really hit me. And I do have a story on that, but we don't have time today. I might share that next time. But anyway, if I had to donate to you, I would in a heartbeat. Alas, I'm in the red with my basics, maybe at a later day. Breath of Light, thank you so much. It's very kind of you to offer. And like I say, not expected, deeply grateful. And if you can't, that's no worries. We're spending the time here today. So it's just, I'm grateful to have you guys here. Anything you can do is appreciated, but it's very, very kind of you to even consider it. So thank you very much. Right, guys. So, okay, 10 minutes. So let's merge both our meditations. Now, I am going to apologize if I move a bit quickly through this meditation. Try to do it slowly. We're going to go straight over to David afterwards, and then I'll stop roughly about maybe 4 minutes between the end. So anyway, let's take ourselves into a nice calm place. We're 13 minutes away from the end of the live. Thank you all for tuning in. Very kind of you. Beautiful little centering sound of our singing bowl. So bring yourselves just to the present moment. Know that I am extremely grateful to every single one of you for spending your precious time and moments in doing these global peace meditations, in honouring David, in discussing the beautiful future that is inevitable for us all. In this meditation, I wish every single one of you the most impeccable healing, the most sweet and heartfelt love. David's face comes into my mind from what we're about to watch. And know that every single one of us, as we come together with this beautiful intention, we are doing incredible work on this planet, helping to counteract those with a slightly more nefarious intention, sending our love to those people so that they know that they are included. All of the world leaders, the families, they are included in that whirling rainbow. They are included in this journey of life. Any negative universal beings, they are included in that love. Anybody who is persecuting humanity is included in that love. You are loved. You are loved from the highest levels. You are loved from the Creator, ourselves. I do believe we are fractal, a part of that all. So, Creator loves them, we love them and us. And so just know how grateful I am to you, and know the power and miracle that is your physical body, your mind, your heart, your spirit. You are a walking miracle with all the capabilities of healing and health, abundance, joy. And we are each walking this beautiful journey of life, this red road, as the Native Americans would say. And I'm grateful to be walking side by side with you in what is a challenging time on Earth, but one filled with potential and love. So we're now going to hear from our brother David, and we will stop just before we finish to have a little moment to speak. So apologies for the quick transition, but we're just going to move over now.
You can walk in the pathways of the divine and remember and accept the glory of who and what you are. Yours is not a path of sadness and misery. It is one of hope, compassion, mercy, kindness, and the starry-eyed wonderment of a happy child. This is what all loving beings want for you, to step into the glory of your true self. It pains me greatly when you fall short of your own expectations and understandings, when you feel that you have missed the mark in some critical way. As you remember who and what you are, you can redefine all your pain points as growth opportunities and enjoy the fruits of love. I am not one to sit idly by and do nothing as I see you suffering and in pain. I will reach out to you in whatever way I can, as will many others like me, who only have your highest and best good in mind. We all love you very much, and we want to see you succeed beyond your wildest expectations. As you see the collapsing of the old ways, be ye not threatened by that which transpires. These events are catalysts of planetary awakening and are the direct result of the creations of your people as they are authorized to occur. Many negative timelines are surmounted and circumnavigated, but certain events still transpire. Know that you are protected as this all unfolds. Yes, certain things will happen, certain upsetting events are going on, but it's all part of a grander collective awakening that we're going through, and we're working through it together. So certain things do happen, but in the grandest sense, the universe has our backs, we are protected, and we're going to be okay. The great sorrow that you feel within you can be transformed into a trust and knowingness. The boundaries of your past can be redefined in the omnipresence of the everlasting now. Every moment is a new opportunity to witness the glory of who and what you are. Answer that call and become that greater vision of reality that exists beyond space and time. Isn't that nice? These are beautiful words of wisdom. Thank you, David, says Annette Kimbrell. Your life is fruitful and abundant, resplendent, peaceful, glorious, and profound. You are unified with the One Infinite as you steadfastly move beyond your own limitations and redefine who and what you are. Each new amazement is a chance to re-enter that infinite mind with a presence of infinity. Know that you are loved beyond your wildest imagination. This is as it was, as it is now, and as it always shall be, and nothing and no one can ever take that from you. It goes on, though. We're not done yet. As you remember who you are, your life is transformed in the glory of the Creator. We are happy to see you progressing and look forward to your ongoing development in love, trust, and the mysteries of the universe. Let's be grateful for what you have already accomplished, while also knowing that the road ahead has many great surprises and successes in store. This is the pivot point, the moment where everything changes. Without you, none of this would be possible. We can only stand on the sidelines and advise you as you go through each new initiation. Know that you are deeply and profoundly loved as we do our best to help you succeed. Glory, radiance, and truth surround you, and the heavenly host lifts you up into the omnipresence of the divine light. The most that we offer is infinity, and it is available to you in a single breathtaking moment of spiritual bliss. It's really nice, isn't it? The resplendence of the one infinite Creator is always available to you in each and every moment. Why wait when you can experience this cosmic understanding in the here and now?
So I do apologize, guys. I'm going to have to stop there just because we are just about 4.5 minutes away from the 33333 ending to our live. For those of you that asked, this is David Wilcock Live Angelic Ascension Guidance from just about a month ago. So obviously it's been a while now. And so, yeah, like, it's so interesting because I think I mentioned before I didn't get a full chance to watch that live, so I didn't get all the way to the end of that one. But just the way David's demeanour and the way he was sharing how nice it was and how beautiful the words were, really interesting, you know. And that was 3 weekends before we heard what we heard, you know. And so I really do think that the circumstances of David's leaving, I think that we don't know the truth. I think that I certainly hope, but I do feel that there's a good chance that he is in protection somewhere, you know, or that he's, even if it's on a spiritual level, maybe he's gone, you know, over to the, you know, other side of things so that, you know, things can transpire until it all comes out. Oopsie. Sorry guys, that happened last time, didn't it? Because we are just at the end now, 3 minutes left. So yeah, it's chosen apologies by not being able to play it to the end, my friend. We're 3 minutes away from being able to end the live, but you will be able to see it. You know, you can go over to David's live. It is there if you want to watch the end. I highly recommend you do. It is very beautiful. So I just want to, you know, as we're rounding up here, guys, if I don't get through all the comments, I appreciate you all very much. You know, Peridot, Free Queen, Brizzy, Leilu, Mother, Cosmos, Alexander, Chosen, thank you for being here for as long as you have, my friend. Very kind of you. Bradine, I think I said Alexander, Suzanne, Little Susie, thank you for being here. Deborah, it's really, really been lovely to spend a third live stream with all of you. Nicole Willis, maybe some clips of David's characters next time. Yeah, we could do. I know, yeah, it would be a nice little ode, I think. But look guys, we are about 2 minutes away, so if you've got any final comments or any last things you want to share, please feel free to pop them in the comments. I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, it's been an absolute pleasure to carry on these global life peace meditations with you in honour of David, and we're doing amazing things. You know, we are sparking the conversation about peace on earth. We are talking about honouring our journey back to the Garden of Eden, that global garden, that place of paradise, which is talked about in our scriptures, it's talked about in our cultures, you know. So Gail, like I say, Cosmos, Joie de vie, nailed that now, Joie de vie, Sue, bless you all, Lucas, brother, thank you for being in this whole time. Annie, I think my darling is preparing some food, so she was here for the vast majority of the time. Thank you so much, Annie, as well. Love you all. You are all absolutely beautiful souls. You know, you've truly been able to keep this space going, make it a beautiful place for us all to be. So we are about 60 seconds or so. We're gonna try to go for the 3, do the whole 3s all the way through. It's a really nice, sweet little way for us to honour David. David couldn't have done those lives if he wasn't okay. He was letting us know. Was coming to the last couple of shows to prepare us. He was offered an option to get ahead of being taken. Suzanne, I think you're absolutely spot on. That's what really makes sense to me. So Crystal, Prince Royal. Oh, bless you, Prince. Thank you so much for the lovely comment. Ginger, unified focus, conscious field of intent, love, light, truth, released. Bevy, thank you for being here. You're all wonderful. Very kind of you. Bonnie, thank you so much, Bonnie, for tuning in. Very kind to Suzanne, Free Queen. Absolutely lovely to have you all here. And remember, pop the like, subscribe, take care of yourselves, my friends. We're going to be popping off in about 33 seconds. So, you know, I will schedule the next live for this coming Sunday. I'll figure out the title. I think I've got it, but I don't quite know yet. So we're coming up to the end now. A bit of a countdown, guys. 15 seconds left. Thank you all for your love. So kind, so beautiful. India, thank you, and for all your support as well. Nicole, India, thank you, my darling. Very kind of you. Alright, guys.